Live betting reaction to all of the night's action. You're tuned in to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Patrick Meagher, Dustin Swedelson, VSiN Live.
All right, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. As we say hi, I'm Patrick Meagher, Dustin Swedelson. We've got a game here, Stanley Cup playoffs, about to get underway in Washington, D.C., with the Capitals, a hardworking team. Ovechkin, the records, we know the story. They're up 3-1 on an undermanned Habs team. So they're laying a big price tonight. Total is 6. We're going to go regulation minus $1.20, meaning you can't have overtime. Washington closes it out there in regulation. As we get going, let me give everybody props. First off, Brandon back in New York City, Ryan Smith, of course, Las Vegas with the big guy, and Ryan running our YouTube, youtube.com/VSiN Live. There's something I did want to address. I just got the game that's underway out of the way. Remember, for the rest of the games tonight, you can go to vsin.com/subscribe for $19 through August 1st. Use the promo code SERIOUS. I can assure you you're going to win some money. All right, so there's my sell job. Don't even need to sell it to products.
Too many donks are sitting around
but right before we were coming on the air, and I got to be honest with you, this is, and I'm sure you guys are into this too. I don't know if people have been talking about it today, but we do, big guy. We got a new big three, and the old big three was, of course, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and who was the other donk?
That would be Chris Bosh.
Yeah. So that was the old big three, but we do have a new big three, and that big three consists of the University of North Carolina, Bill Belichick, and Jordan Hudson, because they have all released a statement. In a statement today, counteracting and going against what CBS News Sunday morning said with a false narrative. In a statement released by North Carolina on Wednesday, Belichick, a.k.a. he and Hudson, along with North Carolina, said in the segment presented selectively edited clips and stills from just a few minutes of the interview to suggest a false narrative that Jordan was attempting to control the conversation, which is simply not true. I can say allegedly, Jordan wrote that. And so Jordan, who is 24, Bill, who's 73, and North Carolina, who's a university, and poor my friend, Michael Lombardi, as the general manager of that football team, I got a feel for the guy. Hey, he's an interesting person, but he's got his hands full. We'll go there. You know Lombardi, hanging out with Mad Dog with the picks. Some of you loved them, some of you didn't. Worked with them for a long time. Let me just say this. The Art of Winning is a book, Lessons from My Life in Football. And Bill Belichick is currently going on a very curated tour where he's picking the people to interview him. And then, as cowards do, he is telling the interviewees what they're allowed to ask. And they want to accentuate or talk about the positives from the book. Well, the book itself is fraudulent, because the book has a crafted, feel-good Disney novel that doesn't mention Robert Kraft. It doesn't mention Spygate. It doesn't mention a lot of things that build the story or narrative of Bill Belichick. Let me ask you, why the hell would you ever read this book if you're not getting the whole story? So that bothers me. And I'll also say this. Now that Belichick is doing this odd and bizarre dance, we can start to question him. Because before that, he just came out and he was disrespectful and he was condescending and he was rude to reporters because we all had to bow to the deity that was Bill Belichick. He had won 6 Super Bowls. He had the hoodie with the rips in it, and he was going to intimidate, other people that are there in a co-relationship to, talk about the NFL. Those were the reporters. And I always had an issue with it, but screw it. We couldn't say anything about it because it's Bill Belichick. Well, now because of all this oddness, we can start to question him. Now the fact that he's not going to add craft to the book, now the fact that he's not going to talk about certain things and then dictate what's asked of him, now we can start to wonder, is he any good? Is Bill Belichick any good? Of course. How good? That's going to get interesting. Because prior to Brady, 1 playoff win. See, now we can play this game. I know I sound condescending just like him, but I'm not. I'm being honest. Now we can start to play this game because he's playing the game. And when you reveal yourself as somebody as insecure and somebody that's trying to control the narrative, well, the narrative is only going to become brighter and the truth is going to come out. So we do know he had one playoff win before Brady. We do know that post Brady he failed, and now it's North Carolina. So it's on. He's got an opportunity to prove he's great. But let me just say this. If he doesn't achieve at North Carolina, the questions will get even bigger. Because in the era that he and my friend Lombardi are running that program and running that university, you can win next year. It's that simple. And if he's as good as he says he is, and is as good as he wants people to, he and the big three, North Carolina, Jordan Hudson, and Bill Belichick, they want in this curated little media tour for everybody to focus on how great he is. You don't need a book. Just win a national championship at North Carolina. And I assure you it can be done. So that's all I got on that. I was annoyed. I swear to God, I was coming on. I had a different open. I need a Zen. I'm going to put it in right now. Nicotine. I needed a Zen. I don't know why this is triggering me. It's not even about her. I don't care about her. I understand it's the most potent drug in the world. I mean, just ask the Romans. So I get that aspect, and she's just, doing her thing. As I said yesterday, many of you didn't hear at the beginning of the show, I'm not concerned about how this looks for Bill Belichick. I'm concerned with how this looks for men. It's weird. Okay, let's just erase everything like, okay, empowerment of women, empowerment of men, cancel culture. Can we all admit what's happening right now with Bill Belichick, North Carolina, and Jordan Hudson is freaking odd? And then we'll move on, and now he's got to win some football games. All right, we'll move on the program as well. Dustin Swedelson, I welcome you to the program. Your Knicks, my Pistons, are going to a Game 6, which is going to get interesting with the Pistons holding court at MSG last night. Situation's weird, my friend.
Well,
and
yeah,
you're
just
in a
like
relationship, you understand the power. Sorry, I stepped on your joke.
No, you're good. You're good. Just like the power Jordan Hudson has over Bill Belichick, I am also like Bill on her. I am simping over your Pistons. I'm simping. It's unfortunate for Bill. You know what I mean? Whether it's a stranger, a friend, even an enemy, a boss, when you see someone simping the way he is and handing over the keys to his life, it's just a sad thing to watch play out.
May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Obviously, I know I can sound like an asshole when I'm doing these stupid rants, but where did I lie? Wait, hold on. North Carolina, Bill Belichick, and Jordan Hudson. Is that the new big three? That wasn't a lie.
No, and then my question to that would be, does that make CBS News the San Antonio Spurs?
No, did I lie that his behavior was untoward and he was belittling and condescending and just plain rude and mean to reporters during his career?
Confirmed. And now I also wonder if the reason he's doing that is because he wanted to just hide the fact that he actually just sucks completely as a person. Like that was a way to avoid revealing how poor his character was.
Did I lie when I said this behavior now allows us to go under the hood? Before we were all just, hey, let's protect Bill. Let's pretend. Let's call him the GOAT along with Lombardi. But now this is odd. He's trying to control the narrative. Once somebody tries to control the media, we can start to ask questions. No?
I agree and would like to add to that because they're talking about the timeline of when they met and so forth. I'm curious if this maybe was why the NFL did not come a-calling for one Billy B, because remember, you and I were shamed by all the NFL experts. Bill Belichick's going to get another job in the NFL. Don't worry, someone's going to hire him. And then he ran to Chapel Hill. Ran before that next head coaching cycle opened up where he wouldn't be embarrassed if he was passed over again. Perhaps NFL teams realized what was going on behind the scenes, and they didn't want to be in the business of Jordan Hudson, the new GM of the Las Vegas Raiders.
And then finally, is it fair, now that he's going to try to control the narrative, to question the narrative that he was mid pre-Brady?
I think it's fair to question everything about Bill Belichick. In fact, not just that, I'm starting to question the airplane story that they're deciding to stick to after avoiding it during the interview as well. I need the internet sleuths. I need the anonymous. Remember, anonymous used to look into people's backgrounds? I need the true background of how they really met. I have a feeling it involved a website with a login and some secret codes.
Listen, in life, less is more. The more statements you release, the more traction this gains. The more statements you release, the more to noise idiots like me. The more statements you release, the more you admit your guilt and your insecurities. So just, I would say, chill the F out.
And on top of that, that is what Bill Belichick did for about 30 years in the NFL. He said nothing. He gave us nothing. And we assumed that meant he was greater and smarter than us when it came to football. Now he's revealing more and more. Now I have more and more questions.
He might not just have been appalled to be having to answer football questions to the media. He may not have known what
he may not have had the answers. That is
because if he's sitting down in front of CBS Sunday morning and when football questions come up, if his 24-year-old girlfriend doesn't allow him to answer those, he might be confused.
Or he knows he's about to change his legacy because now he has a mastermind with Jordan Hudson calling the shots behind the scenes, and he's about to show us how great of a coach he really is. He has a secret weapon because, she was a cosmetologist, and now she's the COO of Belichick Productions. A guy who hates the media has a company called Belichick Productions. It's a wild move. That's like me getting into the salad business.
Look, the bottom line is there are no excuses anymore. I heard it. It's fine. There are no excuses anymore. You can win the ACC next year. That's it. If he does, no. I'm giving him an opportunity to clear all of this, the mid questions, the slander. If he goes in there and wins immediately, which you can do, there is no question. I'll give you 1 million first-year head coaches over the last few years that have won big. Just getting in there, specifically with transferring NILs. They've got a ton of cash coming in when he got hired, so you can win immediately. Let's see if he does.
The win total 7.5. It's actually juiced -120 to the over, -110 on the under. They are the 6th shot in the ACC at 22-1. They opened their season out of conference with TCU, and they have UCF on the schedule. And then they play an ACC schedule where, that's up for grabs. You're right. He can prove it this year in a down ACC. But the reality is, I think we're all waiting for Rome to burn. I want to watch this thing get lit on fire. And by the way, I'd like to also add, we should have gotten this team on Hard Knocks on HBO, but apparently Jordan Hudson was involved in that whole debacle as well, and that's why it's not happening.
All right. Well, you just gave us the North Carolina schedule. You know what that says to me? If he doesn't win, it's a disaster. That conference stinks, and is out of conference stinks as well. So we'll leave it there. Let's leave it there. Who cares? Golden State and Houston, big guy. We've got a 3-1 series lead. That's coming up in 15 minutes. I was weren't you kind of surprised that tip in Houston was this early?
Yeah, I thought they'd push it to 8 Eastern, 7 Central time to give them a little bit more chance to pack the building in Houston.
I guess because they're trying to get that out of the way before Timberwolves Lakers tonight at 7 our time.
Well, yeah. I understand that, but it also, I guess, they want to guarantee that they can start Timberwolves Lakers after this game's over because, that's what they're banking on everyone watching tonight, even though it's late at night. So, I guess that makes sense. Were you surprised by the number with Houston laying 4?
Well, it's 4. Do you have 4 or 4.5? So let's set up the Warriors at the Rockets. Right now, I'm showing 4.5, but maybe it has moved down to 4.
I've got 4.
Okay, 202.5 on the total. So that's for new bettors. That is a low total. I'm showing a lot of 4s and a lot of 4.5s in the market. 202.5. A lot of that has to do with, first off, Golden State's great on defense. Kind of a misnomer with all their, Steph Curry heroics and how great Jimmy Butler is. They're a defensive team, and Houston is a horrific offensive team. It really just the reason I will take the number is because all you're doing with Houston is just betting on whether or not Jalen Green goes off.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't go, and I don't trust the kid, but if he doesn't go off, Golden State wins this outright. That's bottom line.
Well, and starters, Golden State has to win this outright. They need to rest. That is a team that relies on 2 older players. You can't play with your food here. You can't let the series go on another day. You got to end it right here. Warriors 26-8 straight up with Butler active. The Rockets' only victory in this series came game 2. Butler only played 7 minutes in that game. That's an impact there. You mentioned the defense for Golden State. They're leading the league in rating on the defensive side since the All-Star break. And then Jalen Green, 8 points in 24 and a half minutes last game. They have to make adjustments. A lot of adjustments, I think, are coming via Ime Udoka and the Rockets today. One of them is you can't run the offense through Jalen Green. You have to get Fred VanVleet, who hit a lot of big shots last game, more looks. Amon Thompson needs to be involved in the offense more. But more importantly, the double big lineup. Steven Adams with Şengün on the floor at the same time. It changes how Golden State's going to play this thing. It forces them to take a shooter off the floor where sometimes they only have 2 on the floor. And I think Adams gives them second chance opportunities on the glass. I did bet Adams over 7.5 boards because I think he's going to play a lot of minutes tonight, because that also opens up looks for Şengün, who you really can run the offense through. And by the way, Şengün was phenomenal. 31, 10, and 5 last game.
Okay. What's the money line? Because I don't even care. F those picks, F those points.
Ooh.
I do think State gets it done on the road. You mentioned the rest angle. I know they think it's important to rest. They got an old-ass team up top. Butler's old, Green's old, and obviously Steph Curry's 37 years old and still one of the greats. Money line, what can we get on the Warriors right now?
You can go plus 145 on Golden State, have to lay 175 when it comes to Houston in this one.
Okay, so new bettors plus 145 money line simply means Golden State wins the game. You bet $100, you come back with $145. So pretty simple there if you believe in the Warriors, as I do. The T-Wolves and Lakers are coming up later. Let's hold off on handicapping that one. We do have Canadians caps underway. We talked about that at the onset as a family. The big guy, Samich, Halterman, and myself, we said the Capitals in regulation minus $1.20 to mitigate that price of $1.90 full game. Let's go Panthers Lightning. You know, I find this interesting because, and again, I apologize if you hate hockey. This is a hockey show. Once the postseason comes around, I'm sorry, we get into it. And Florida is at Tampa Bay. Florida is laying a price. So Florida is laying $1.15. Honestly, the Lightning were awesome in games 3 and game 4 on the road at Florida. They were horrible at home. I get it. But they were great in 3, fell down 1-0, and just boat raced the Panthers. Fell down 1-0 in 4, had a tremendous game, and then bounced the puck. You know, for 2.5 periods, the Lightning were the better team. The Panthers got 2 quick goals, and here we are with the Panthers 3-1. To me, 2 pretty even teams. If you're going to give me a plus money price on the home team in this spot, where I know they just played 2 really good games, I'm going to take the Lightning catching a price.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was surprised that Florida on the road was the favorite in this one. Totals 5.5. I feel like Tampa Bay, from what you have said of them, they've kind of found their groove over the last couple games, so they should be live here. But I was surprised that Florida was a road favorite in this spot with Tampa playing better.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I'll take the Lightning. And then we've got a really good one coming up later, 6:30 my time. So what would that be, 9:30 your time on the East Coast? The Blues, who are a young team. If you want a corollary, think of the St. Louis Blues like the Detroit Pistons. And we talked about it yesterday. We took the points with the Pistons yesterday. They did win outright. Cade was awesome late in the game. But they just have nothing to lose. And when you have nothing to lose, your mind goes free. You just get out there. You do what you were born to do, which is ball. Conversely, you could tell the Knicks were gripping a little bit, and the Pistons picked up the W. That doesn't mean they're going to win Game 6, but that's the situation the Blues are in right now. They just won the last 2 at home after dropping 2 very competitive games in Winnipeg. In winning the last 2 at home, they've chased the best goalie in hockey, Hellebuck, both times. So going back to Winnipeg, the Blues, I mean, Winnipeg's like what, $1.75 as a favorite? The Blues catching a big price? We're going to have some fun with the Blues.
Yeah, I mean, what about the over? Because this series has gone over in 3 of the 4 right now. Obviously, there was more goal scoring when the game was back in St. Louis, but maybe the Blues found something here offensively. I feel like over 5.5, you can get plus 120 on that. That might be the direction I lean.
I don't hate that either. All right. Start to the program. A little handicapping of these early games. We're going to save the Timberwolves and Lakers for yet. A couple of things when we come back. We have to talk about what happened last night in the NBA. I mentioned my Pistons with a tremendous win. The Nuggets boat raced the Clippers. I have a ton to say about that. The Celtics obviously boat raced the Magic. So, but the Bucks Pacers game is something we're going to focus on. Because if you missed the drama yesterday, first off, the Bucks were never going to win the series. So the fact that they lost the game, the way they lost the game was pretty depressing if it's Giannis's last game. And yeah, I said Giannis's potentially last game in Milwaukee because they choked it away in regulation, choked it away in overtime. And then there was a weird confrontation after the game. Tyrese Halliburton's dad comes out on the court and starts taunting Giannis. When we come back, we're going to play Giannis's response. I wrote down a word you used earlier today on our call. You said he's one of the most thoughtful athletes of our generation. I believe he potentially is the most thoughtful athlete and maybe the most just proper good person that's playing in the four majors, because every time he speaks, he becomes more impressive. Oh, by the way, I don't think he's going to be a Buck moving forward. So we'll give you the teams that are most likely to land Giannis when we return. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Sweat your bets with VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, the NBA playoffs are here, and you can catch Game 5 between the Timberwolves and the Lakers tonight, 10 East on SiriusXM NBA Radio Channel 86. The Timberwolves lead the series 3-1. Lakers look to avoid elimination on their home floor. Don't miss a moment of the postseason and all the action on Channel 86. And remember, you can find all the home and away calls at SiriusXM.com/sports. Okay, we do welcome you back here. A lot to do. Tied up at nothing right now in D.C. with the Canadians potentially trying to stave off a closeout here at the Capitals. So we'll get to that. We also have a game starting in just a few minutes in the NBA. We told you, I'll take the 4. I'll take the 4.5 with the Warriors. I'll take the money line plus $1.45. I think the Warriors are better. I don't depend and I don't rely on Jalen Green. I don't trust him. So I think the Warriors, Dustin brought up a good point. They're in a position where they need to rest. They're old. They need to rest. So tonight, they're not going to take their foot off the pedal. So I like the Warriors tonight in that one. Really quickly, because I didn't see this, and then we'll get into the Giannis drama, but I didn't see this, but Jeff Olbrich, and you know the name because he became the interim head coach of the Jets when Aaron Rodgers fired Saleh. So defensive coordinator of the Falcons, Jeff Olbrich, he got emotional apologizing about his son's prank call to Shedeur Sanders on draft night. Said, quote, "We take full responsibility, my son and myself, and we will not be appealing the fine in any way." Dustin just told me that was a $100,000 fine against Olbrich. I get nervous. I don't like watching embarrassing stuff. It just makes me feel awkward. So when I saw that there was a prank done against Shedeur Sanders, I felt bad for the kid, so I didn't watch it. But apparently it was defensive coordinator Jeff Olbrich of the Falcons, his son, and on draft night, he got a hold of Shedeur's number through Atlanta Falcon information, called Shedeur, and basically said, "Hey, it's Mickey Loomis, runs the Saints. We're going to be drafting you." Listen, Olbrich should be emotional at the podium today because he's done a horrific job raising his son. The fact that he did that is like, first off, it's not funny. Like you said, he's trying to go viral. It's cruel. It's ill-intended, and it's awful. So they deserve to be fined, and they deserve to be shamed. That's a ridiculous thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, the magnitude of it, it's not just Shedeur Sanders falling how he did in the draft. It's also toying with this kid. You can say whatever you want about how he handled the interviews, what you think of Shedeur Sanders. It's a cruel thing to do to someone when they're about to have the phone ring and their dream is on the other side of the phone call. I mean, it is just an evil thing to do. And maybe I'm in the minority here. I'm surprised Jeff Olbrich still has a job. In a lot of worlds where you have confidential information on your work computer or your iPad or whatever it may be, in a lot of worlds, if that gets compromised, you lose your job. So he's lucky to still be employed because the NFL just operates in a different level. But I wouldn't have been shocked if they fired him and just found another defensive coordinator. You are replaceable, and it would have been because of your son.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Let's transition to the Bucks getting bounced by the Pacers last night. The Pacers are a pretty good team. The Bucks obviously shorthanded, no Dame Lillard, and that brings us to the big question: where will Giannis be playing next year? First off, we have to ask this, and 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646, how many players in NBA history have ever been traded while playing at a higher level than Giannis? He's 30 years old. He's still playing at an MVP level. He's won a championship, won multiple MVPs. I mean, the last Buck to be traded as an MVP was Kareem, right? And then as you go on, you've got your Durants who got traded, Harden's, Kawhi got traded. We just had it go down with Luka, who got traded at 25. Luka might actually
too many donks are sitting around watching White Lotus.
Old, so you got to think of service time. But Giannis potentially moving on at 30. We should start with why he potentially could move on, Dustin, and that is because Dame Lillard's out for a year with the Achilles. Even with Dame, the team is built horribly and has no wiggle room. They don't have any draft picks. They don't have any cap space. They're a disaster.
Yeah, it wasn't working. And it's also a rare scenario where you have to wonder what the next couple years look like. He's 30 years old, so he's right in the midst of his prime, and he already delivered you a championship. So I think that affords Giannis the right to, if he wants to ask out, you just do right by him. He gave you a title. He did what he needed to do. When you draft a player, especially one like him, where it was not expected for him to turn into a superstar like this, when he gives you a title, you should give him the courtesy and not waste his prime years and let him maximize his potential on a team that can potentially do it again. Because right now, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Dame Lillard experiment didn't work. When he returns, he will be even older than he is right now, and he's already lost a step. Guys coming off an Achilles don't look better. They don't look more athletic. The rest of the roster is atrocious around them. And you also hinged your hopes on Doc Rivers figuring it out. I'm like, what is this now? Stop number 4 for Doc Rivers, 3 in the NBA as a head coach? You're not recapturing it again. You have failed to maximize Giannis's abilities over the last couple seasons. Now let him go do something else, and you rebuild it from the ground up.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty unique situation where an organization and a player, I think they're both going to come to an agreement, and I don't think it's going to be messy. I think the Bucks are going to say, we're Milwaukee. What you provided us is beyond our wildest imagination. Giannis is going to say, I love you guys. It's untenable right now. So let's work out a trade. Before we get to the landing spots for Giannis, we talked about him being one of the more thoughtful players of his generation, regardless of sport. He's a kid from Greece that's come over and acclimated, lived in Milwaukee, and every time he speaks, he is very conscientious, very sober, very centered. He's just a good kid. Last night after the game, Tyrese Halliburton's dad, I don't even know his name, nor do I care, came out, was waving a towel and taunting Giannis. Giannis and Tyrese Halliburton's dad got their heads together, and then you could tell Giannis became the adult. By the time the argument was over, Giannis was like, it's okay, and he walked away. Now, Giannis had a great statement after the game. Brandon, let's go. We're going to play this. I'll warn you, it's a little long. Maybe we'll interject. Maybe not, because I think it's important to hear wise words from a 30-year-old man that could be entitled, could act however he wanted. And this is what he had to say about the confrontation with Tyrese Halliburton's father.
Nothing. This is the last time I'm going to say. I won't talk a lot. We lost the game. It doesn't really matter. One thing I'll say is that I believe like being humble in victory. That's how I am. Now there can be a lot of people out there that are like, no, when you win the game, you gotta tag. And, you know, it's a green light for you to be disrespectful towards somebody else. I disagree. I've won the championship. They haven't. Okay, and that doesn't say anything. I'm not trying to minimize their effort, but I remember when I won, my mom that she's never missed the games from February 11th or 13th when she came in Milwaukee against the Knicks. She never missed a game. When we won the championship, I remember my mom, she was scared to cross. She was like, am I allowed to come and hug my son? I see, except now my brother does media. For this year, he wants to come back and play. But like, except in that, you've never seen my family like see courtside. See, this is not something that we do. We don't. I try to keep my family away from the game. But losing the game, emotions run high. Having a fan, which at the moment I thought he was a fan, but then I realized he was Tyrese's son, which I love. Tyrese, I think he's a great competitor. He was his dad, sorry. Coming in the floor and showing me his son a towel with his face. This is what we do. This is what we effing do. This the F we do. This. I feel like that's very, very disrespectful. You know, my dad, if you guys go and ask and learn, my dad's not with us no more. My dad used to come in the family room and was the most respectful person ever. You know, when you come from nothing and you've worked your whole life to sell stuff in the street, and your whole life you'll be scared of the police of deporting you and sending you back to your country. You have to protect your kids with all means. You create this mentality of being humble your whole life, to not kind of disrespect anybody, not make the tension high, the emotions high, so anybody can snitch on you, say something bad about you. So when he came here, I remember I was like, Dad, why are you so humble? Why you go to the family room? You don't even say a word. You sit in the back. Why are you like that? Don't worry about it. Don't worry. That's how I grew up. That's what I had around. So when I see other dads, which don't disrespect me, maybe if my son play basketball, I might be in the court. I might be the one on the court, and like 20 years later, you can play this interview and say, Giannis, you're contradicting yourself. But we'll see in 20 years. But I'm talking about right now how I feel. Having somebody's dad, which I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for his son, and I'm happy that he's happy for his son. That's how you're supposed to feel. But coming to me and disrespecting me and cursing at me, I think is totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Okay? And I'm not the guy that points fingers, because in my neighborhood, snitches get stitches. So I don't want to say something, for him to say, to get fined or anything. But it's not respectful. I talked with him at the end. And I think we're in a good place.
Okay, so I wanted to play the whole thing. This is VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. That was Giannis reacting to Tyrese Halliburton's dad coming on the court, screaming in his face, "This is what we effing do," and then eloquently and perfectly using his family as an example of how to comport yourself. And I thought he did it beautifully. Now, that leads us to what Giannis and where Giannis is going to be next year, because after you hear something like that, you realize you're not getting somebody that's self-entitled. You're not getting a 30-year-old that's not going to grind and work his ass off with humility. So teams looking to trade for him, they know what they're getting.
Yeah, you're going to get a leader. I think it's the opposite. Remember the Charles Barkley back in the day, I'm not a role model. No, Giannis is a role model. He also is willing to be the leader and to be above it. And that's what you want from a leader, is someone who morally represents what you want your franchise to be. The clip was so spectacular. The being humble in victory, mentioning that his dad's gone, a life lesson from it. I think about like John Morant's dad is always courtside. The Jokic brothers are always courtside. And he honestly, no, I put my family higher up. They're not involved. They don't need to be here. I also question why Halliburton's dad decided he should be on the floor after the game. I thought that was a weird move. And then my favorite part about the Giannis thing was admitting 20 years from now, I could have a kid. I could be totally different. You can say I'm a hypocrite here, and circumstances change. It was a human answer. It goes back a couple years ago when he had that other answer. Remember where he said there is no such thing as failure if you find a way to use the failure and learn from it. So I don't believe in failure. Like, he's just a smart, well thought out guy. And then on top of it, to do it in your second language and be like that eloquent with it is absolutely freaking mind blowing. I can't do that with English, and it's the only language I speak.
Yeah, it's a great point. The fact that emotions are high, he's speaking in his second language. At one point, he said, "I don't want to minimize the accomplishments of Tyrese." Like, that's not easy to do when the world's watching you. So I thought it was incredible, and he did a great job. Now the question is, where does he end up? By the way, Ovechkin's got 2 goals already for the Caps. They're up 2-0. Montreal, 7:23 to play in the first. So
I laid that puck line plus 135, so I'm feeling good.
Maybe okay, because the Caps are buzzing early. So the question is, where does Giannis? This is a very unique situation. The way that Luka left Dallas was messy. We've had other messy breakups with players in their prime. I don't think if Giannis and the Bucks decide to separate, I don't think it's going to be messy at all. But where's the likely destination? 888 Mad Dog 6, 888-623-3646. Now, again, money has to add up. The prerequisite, like, there has to be assets that the Bucks are going to hold these teams over the fire, because he's an all-time great. So the assets have to equal the value. Do you have an idea as to where Giannis should play next year? 888-623-3646. We'll get to your calls and answer that question. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Welcome back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Yeah, we've got a situation that I need to discuss at the top of the hour about potential travel for a Game 7. Hold on for that. Dustin, quickly, Giannis's odds for his next team, because I don't want to lead the witness. I want to let the callers answer this. Where should Giannis play next year? What are the odds?
So we're speaking globally here. The Brooklyn Nets are your favorite at 3-1. The Houston Rockets next up at 4-1. The Thunder 6-1. Then the Magic 8-1. The Spurs 9-1. And then everyone after that is 10-1 or greater. But the general thought is Nets, Rockets, Thunder, Magic, Spurs. Those are your top 5 options.
Okay, 888 Mad Dog 6, 888-623-3646. Let's let you answer this question. I don't think it's going to be messy. If Giannis does move on from the Bucks, where should he play? Let's start off tonight, VSiN Live in Tennessee, and say hi to Adam. Hi, Adam.
Hey, man. It's interesting listening to Giannis. Like, you forget watching social media and seeing how, like, negative the world is, that young men like that exist, and they're so thoughtful and
Good
deep
point.
and, like, just good people, you know? And so when I see, like, because I'm a big Memphis fan, and I see Ja be a dumbass like every 5 minutes doing something stupid. I'm like, either get Giannis around him and let that rub off on him, or trade Ja directly for it, because he's a stud, but he's so dumb and he gets in his own way. So either get the positivity from Giannis and the brains from Giannis around Ja, or trade Ja directly for it. But I would love to have him in Memphis, man.
That's a great call. I didn't even think about that. He is the social media generation. I mean, he just turned 30. So the fact that he's speaking like that, as like I'm guessing he would never post anything on I'm not degrading posting on social, but he certainly wouldn't post anything negative on social.
No, the only thing I ever remember him posting on social media was the day after they won the title. He tried Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets for the first time, and it was the purest joy I've ever seen on another human.
It's like literally just has nothing to do with his accomplishment. It's just that he's hungry. That's him. He's a fascinating person. Denny in New York here, VSiN Live. Hi, Denny.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
To be honest with you, I'm thinking Miami, no doubt. I was thinking Orlando, but Miami definitely, because there's no income tax, so that's a huge advantage. But I think right now Pat Riley, after everything that happened with Jimmy Butler, he knows. Let's call it what it is. I mean, Pat Riley's pushing 70. He might even be over 70. This might be his last hurrah running the show there, and he definitely fits in the Heat culture. He's tough. He's no nonsense. He doesn't give you any attitude. He would fit in perfectly. Now the question though is do they have enough draft picks, to do it? I don't know. And enough capital to do it, but he would fitting in wise, he'd be perfect in Miami, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing what happens. And as a fellow Greek, because I am 100% Greek, the guy is, like I said, he's everything that's right about the NBA.
He really is. Great call. And Miami, I didn't even think about them. I don't know if they have the assets, but Riley's aggressive, no state income tax, and it's marquee, South Beach. So if they could somehow, I think they owe first-round picks to someone. They got Hero, they got Bam. They'd have to get super creative, but I don't hate the idea.
Yeah, because you have to keep Hero, you have to keep Bam. I mean, maybe you have to deal one of them. Obviously, when you're Miami,
you have to get rid of both Bam and Hero to get Giannis.
You think so?
Oh no, dude! You'd have to give up Bam, Hero, and a lot more.
Yeah, well, the problem is the picks, because they have their pick this year, they have their pick next year. Now, the pick this year is via Golden State, so it's a useless pick. It'd have to be next year's pick at 2026. They also don't have a first rounder until 2028, then 29, 30, and 31. I'm not sure Milwaukee's wanting to kick the can down the road that far.
Because think about it. Bam declining, older. Hero, a 3 on a great team, a 2 on a good team, for one of the great players we're ever going to see with a couple of MVPs.
Yeah, Bam's 27, but Bam can't be the focal point, because
Bam declined this year.
No, well, because he became someone who got more attention on the offensive end, and he completely disappeared. But he's also a big man. You can't build your team around a big man like that.
Well, like you said, though, if they had Bam, if they had Hero, maybe another piece and a bunch of picks, maybe Milwaukee would say, okay, at least we can take this to another team. So, but I think you're right about the picks. I don't know if they have a ton. Let's see. Let's continue with the Giannis situation. Let's say hi to Arturo in California. Hi, Arturo.
Hey, I would only cross my fingers and hope that the Lakers could get him, and I would basically trade the whole damn team but Luka for Giannis, because it's ironic that we're talking about Giannis and Belichick, because I think Giannis is everything that Belichick is not right now.
I would agree. Like, it's so funny, not to be super disrespectful of Belichick, but I'm just saying the behavior is unsavory. It's clandestine. It's super odd. And that's the opposite of what Giannis is.
Yeah.
Dustin said the odd is becoming. Posting, I've never tried Chick-fil-A after you won the Milwaukee Bucks a championship is odd in the best way possible. Telling people what they can ask you when you've won 6 Super Bowls is odd in the worst way possible. Seeing your 24-year-old girlfriend and making sure that North Carolina sees her on every message is odd in the worst way.
Yeah, and not that this is like something you could ever guarantee, because as I get older, you just find out people are creepier and creepier. But if I were to tell you anyone in the NBA cheated on their significant other, but there's one that did not, I think the unanimous answer across the board would be Giannis did not cheat on his wife. He's just a good dude. You can feel it when he speaks.
You're putting Giannis in a tough spot now.
I am.
Now, those are things that go on behind closed doors. If he heard Giannis was doing something else, maybe they have an open relationship.
Yeah, well, that's not cheating then. It's not cheating if it's an open marriage.
It's not, but I understand where you're going. He's just a good dude. I've never played a 3.5-minute clip without stopping it in my career, and I think that one was worth it.
I agree.
He's just really eloquent, and like Dustin said, it's his second language. So it's pretty cool to hear. And another thing before I get to Rocco, and another thing is it's just he wasn't even trying to embarrass Tyrese Halliburton's father. He kept on qualifying it, but it does highlight what an effing idiot his father is. Like, how embarrassing. You're an old man saying this is what we effing do. No, you don't. You don't even play.
But you know what that was? That was what we see like in youth sports, that epidemic and the AAU and travel baseball world. Like, that was it on a grand scale. And you realize how gross it is with parents living through their children.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. All right, let's say hi, Saratoga, to our buddy Rocco. Hi, Rocco.
How you doing, guys? Yeah, great. You guys are good. Yeah, interesting. Hey, a lot of things to hit on. I'm only in my 60s, so what do you think? I could get a 30-year-old babe? Do you think?
Yeah, Rocco,
think?
I think with your swag,
30.
you could get anything. You could get anything you want. Yep.
And I'm built like a truck, man. Let me tell you, I'm stacked. Okay, I'm originally from the Bronx, so no messing with the Rock.
Sure.
But
yeah.
Ladies, I'm here. If you're 30, I'll even go 40. No problem. Hey, but as far as Halliburton's dad, he was, he just lost it. His kid, won it. He was living through his kid. We all would do that, right? Let's be real. But that was not appropriate. He went over the top, and Giannis handled it tremendously, fantastically. You couldn't handle it better. That's why he needs to be on the Knicks. Come on, guys. He needs the limelight. You can't send him to Houston, somewhere else. Got to be at the Mecca of basketball.
Rocco, a little online dating opportunity on the phone call, and Giannis to the Knicks.
Well, Rocco, you could get a 24-year-old. It just depends what your price point is when they charge by the hour, because maybe how Bill and Jordan met. Who knows? What I'd also add is the Knicks are 16-1 to acquire Giannis. I think there are some rules that prohibit them from dealing Cat and Mikal Bridges after acquiring them last offseason. I'm not sure how all that salary cap stuff works, but remember, The Knicks don't have draft picks. And if Milwaukee's rebuilding, they can't help the Bucks. They traded all those picks for Mikal Bridges.
However, big guy, Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, and Josh Hart.
No, I think Josh Hart's untouchable.
Not for Giannis. If you put Giannis next to Brunson,
Facts. You know what? There's two-man game.
Like that two-man game. Is there a better? There's no chance there's a better two-man game on the planet than Brunson and Giannis.
And you know what? Giannis gives you the versatility to literally do what all those guys are doing. And anyone taking Mikal Bridges, that's a positive in the long run at this point because that guy stinks.
I think I don't know if Milwaukee would do it. I think they definitely sniff around Cat, Hart, and I love Hart. You know that, and I know you do too. Hart and Bridges might get it done.
And then you hire Michael Malone.
Might get it done. But that's the type of package we're talking about. He's 30. He's got 8 years left of dominance. The whole entire concept, maybe more, because look at LeBron. He's playing at 40. Giannis is in the same shape as LeBron. So we could be looking at complete dominance for years and years to come. So my question would be, if you're a Knicks fan, and I said you have to give up Hart, Bridges, and Cat, you're going to win 2 championships over the next 10 years. You say yes. Because LeBron and Luka next year don't even come close to Brunson and Giannis.
Giannis and Cat are a year apart in age. I thought maybe Cat might be a little bit younger, but they're the same age. Giannis, day one, would be the greatest player in their prime to ever wear a Knicks jersey. Greatest player of all time.
Absolutely.
Day one.
Look at the we shouldn't even. What are we? I feel like we're being disrespectful to Giannis. Look at his stats this year. Let's see. Giannis basketball reference. How much time do I have here?
Like a minute.
Stats. This year, he averaged 30.4, 11.9 boards and 6.5 assists. You give up Brunson. You give up. You take those 3, Bridges, Hart, and Cat, and then you say, what else do you want? We're giving you 3 immediate starters that are well above average. Cat's a superstar.
Yeah, no. And if you're the Bucks, you're still a playoff team in the East. You might be the 3 or 4. You could potentially be a 3 or 4 seed.
You could get creative around him. You know what? Rocco might be a donk, but the Knicks no, of course he is. But the Knicks might be a legit landing spot for Giannis. All right, our buddy Jonathan Von Tobel, VSiN, joins us next.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
I don't even know the donk that just made a 3 for the Warriors. That in. We welcome you back, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. We're going to be joined by our buddy Jonathan Von Tobel, VSiN host. I'll set that up in a second, but remember, VSiN right now, channel 158 on Sirius XM, 24/7. And as an exclusive offer, we'll give you everything for $19. Now, you have to be a Sirius XM or Mad Dog Sports Radio listener. Use the promo code Sirius to get the daily best bets. You get the exclusive betting splits, DraftKings and Circa. You get the Kentucky Derby betting guide. Remember, that's coming up on Saturday. NFL betting guide, it's all there. Go to vsin.com/subscribe. Use the promo code Sirius. VSiN, the sports betting network. As we welcome you back, the big guy, Dustin Swedelson. I'm Patrick Meagher. We got Ryan. We've got Brandon in tow today. Ryan running YouTube, youtube.com/VSiN Live. Make sure you give a subscription there. We're going to say hi to Jonathan Von Tobel. He is the host of Money Moves, along with Stormy Bonantoni, Monday through Friday, 12 to 2. That's a good schedule. If you can get it, 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Sirius XM channel 158. He's on Twitter at JVT. You know what? It's kind of an ideal time slot there. It's a good job by you.
I appreciate it. I don't know if I was deserving of it, but here we are.
You were deserving of it, Donkey Kong. You're good to go. All right, let's go. Let's jump into the hoops because we did take the points with Golden State, and it's not looking great. Tell me why Houston leads 38-24 with a minute to play in the first.
I mean, right now it's like a mix of everything. The Rockets are shooting efficiently. They are 5 of 9 from beyond the arc. I think the reality is right now the Warriors have turned it over 4 times, so that's not really working out for you. And they're just not shooting particularly well outside of what they've done from beyond the arc, so I think that's a really big portion of it. They have hit 6 threes. They're 6 of 15 from deep, but their other stuff inside has not really worked out. Just 3 of, I believe, I think 6 or something like that, 3 of 7. So they're just not shooting it particularly well inside, but I would expect that they're going to be able to get this done, at least make it more competitive than it is at this point right now. I trust in Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry. They are combined 0 for 5 from the floor right now, a -17 for Curry. He has 4 assists, but has also turned it over twice. So just a rough offensive start. And the other side is Rockets right now on offense have 40 points with 28 seconds left in the first quarter. I would expect that to slow down too.
Yeah, Houston's shooting 55%.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. We got the Lightning. So the Lightning jumped out to a 1-0 lead plus money at home. The Panthers tied it up at 1, took the lead at 2-1. The Lightning just scored. We're tied up at 2s. Sorry, interrupted you. Go ahead.
JVT. So I mentioned that Houston shooting 55% from 3. Golden State shooting 40% from 3. Don't you feel like a strategy for Ime Udoka tonight would have been to start Steven Adams, force Golden State to take a shooter off the floor where sometimes they only have 2 legit outside threats on the floor at a time? Are you surprised that Adams isn't playing more to start this thing out?
Yeah, I thought that was going to be kind of the adjustment after the last game where Ime Udoka stepped in it when he pulled Steven Adams off the floor late in that game when they were absolutely killing them, and the numbers would back it up. So far in this series, when he has Alperen Şengün and Steven Adams on the court together, they have a +28 net rating, so they outscore the Warriors over the course of 100 possessions by 28 points, and an offensive rebounding rate of 51%. That's incredible. Think about it, to put it in context for anybody who doesn't really follow the analytics. They are rebounding 50% of their missed shots. That's an incredible rate that you're getting every other missed shot that you take and getting it for another possession. So I am surprised that he didn't start them. I thought that would be the adjustment. Maybe we see a larger load of Adams here as the game goes along. But that's their big weapon. And like you said, it forces the Warriors to adjust. It forces you to get a little bit bigger. You could put Quentin Post out there and not lose a ton of your shooting, but still, you got to put somebody out there that matches the size. We saw Trace Jackson Davis the other night because they were so desperate to match that size. So I'm with you. If you're Udoka, force the issue at hand and see what they do because they are not as comfortable playing big as you are.
Jonathan Von Tobel, also our senior NBA analyst at VSiN. So I want to back up to last night to figure out what we learned. I would say this, those of you following along on YouTube, VSiN Live on YouTube, you'll see that Jonathan doesn't necessarily have the most overly efficient setup. as he's talking directly into a microphone and the TV is directly behind his head.
Yeah.
So every time he wants to see the setup is rough. Can we be honest? It's rough.
Well, I will say that the setup is set up this way because VSiN gave me this TV that you kind of see behind me. It was gifted to me by the Vegas Stats and Information Network so I could have a cool, fancy backdrop when I do hits. Obviously, I'm not using it right now because I didn't realize that we are so well technologically equipped that we're on YouTube as well. But when I do hits for the real network, that's what I use it for. So I had to set this up for the lighting, is what I will say. I don't enjoy the setup particularly, but we're moving this summer, so it'll be better.
Okay. So wait, is the game on the TV behind you, or is it a TV that they sent you that's only usable as your backdrop? Now,
dude, how old are you, man? It's 2025. Any TV is used as a TV. You just get a Fire Stick and plug that bad boy in.
I don't know. I see sometimes people will steal a TV off the street and think they nailed it, and they bring it home, and it's the Popeyes menu, and you can't get it to change.
Yeah, no. It's a real TV.
Okay.
What we learned last night, my Pistons loose as a goose go into MSG, force a game 6, 106-103.
We learned that the series should be over. I mean, let's be honest. This is absolutely ridiculous that we're here at this point right now. Or not. Okay, I shouldn't say over. It should be 3-2 Detroit going back home. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous that the end of that game was to put them in the position that they were in, that they had to stave off elimination on the road. They have, I want to say largely outplayed them, but they have been better for, I think, a majority of the minutes played in this series. And it's funny because one of the things that the Knicks were supposed to have over your Pistons, Patrick, was their ability to play in clutch time. But guess who's got the positive net rating in this series in clutch time? It's the Pistons. They have played better when the game was in 5 points and 5 or fewer minutes left to go. They got screwed in that game. This should be 3-2 Detroit going back home into that ridiculous home court advantage that they have. But I trust that they're going to be able to get this done and force a game 7. The Knicks, as we mentioned, are having issues despite the fact that they have the clutch player of the year in these tight games. They are getting more and more injured. There's so many times, like the other day, I don't know what Tibbs was doing. If Jalen Brunson was healthy enough to check right back in 20 seconds, I don't know why you pull him out to begin with. Then you don't call the timeout to get him back in there. And then I thought his leg was going to come off the other day, right? Because he gets it wrapped up, and I can't remember who he got tied up with. Was it Tim Hardaway Jr.? And he's like, I can't pull my leg. And then he comes running back out, and he's fine. But they're just not really fully healthy. And your team, I think, has a little bit more here. I bet them before the series started to win it. I have over 5.5 games, so that clinches as well with this victory. But I do think that if you don't have anything, I wouldn't say no to Pistons to win this series right now at the current price, because I think they can win this game and go into New York and prove they were up 9 in the fourth quarter in game 1. They blew that with a 21-0 run for the Knicks. They won in game 2. They won in game 5. They're going to be able to do this thing.
Yeah, we're right back at the start with the number, by the way, JVT.
Yeah.
Plus 380 on the Pistons. It feels like it's worth a flyer because then you're betting on them to win game 6, send it to game 7. Then you can hedge a little bit if you want, or let it ride, because if I'm being fair as a Knicks fan, you tell me if this number is outrageous. I believe the Pistons have outplayed the Knicks for about 75% of the actual game time on the floor. 75. The Knicks have been horrible in the third quarter, have figured out some miracles in the fourth quarter, but 75% of the game, the Pistons have been the better team. Is that fair?
I think so. I mean, I think that's what we've seen up to this point. I think if you have a Pistons ticket like I do, you're a little frustrated with the way the series has gone, because I think that they deserve to, at the very least, be leading in this series right now, let alone maybe closing this thing out. And you can quibble with whether or not you think Cade is the better player, but he is the healthier player of the two between him and Brunson right now. And this was a great stat, which shows you where you're at. Cade Cunningham, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, Russell Westbrook, Oscar Robertson, Wilt Chamberlain. Those names are the only players in NBA history to average 25, 8, and 8 through their team's first 5 playoff games. Like, Cunningham's been absolutely the nuts at this point right now. And yeah, he wants to have one of those late shots back a couple of games ago, but for the most part, he has answered the bell. And I think this team has everything. And like, the mix of veterans is good too. Like, Harris has given you moments. Malik Beasley has given you moments. Tim Hardaway Jr. has given you moments. Like, this is a team that is playing with house money. And I think that is really shown. And now the Knicks have to limp into the other side. And by the way, Tibbs have been getting out coached here because he's too reliant on these guys. He's too stubborn to move on. And I think that's going to be a big deal too.
I'm glad you mentioned Cade, maybe Cade appreciation for those getting to, and I'm not knocking anybody because who would watch the Pistons, but they're getting to see Cade on a big stage for the first time. Didn't score well last night. Then all of a sudden when it mattered, he was awesome. He had an assist in the final couple of minutes. There's not many players on the planet that could do it. He's calm. He's collected. He's the leader of that team at 23, JVT.
Dude.
He won't be 24 until September.
What was the scuffle the other day where does he take Asar Thompson or who does he? No, it was Holland, where there's a scuffle and Holland's about to start fighting with somebody and Kate takes him and shoves him away. Like that's his own teammate. The guy, like, I know that's like a stupid little moment. Like, why does that matter? But the fact that he's kind of been unflappable in all of this, and then he realizes in moments like that, like, dude, stop being a 19-year-old and get the hell out of here. Like, bigger things are at stake. Like, this is, I've been very, I was already, because you know me, Patrick, I text you every once in a while about them. Like, I like the Pistons. I've been tracking them for the last few years since the Sadiq Bey rookie season where I really came around on them. But, like, this has been so cool to watch him bloom, and it's got to be exciting for anybody out there, for somebody like you to really see, like, oh, like, we've got somebody, and like this is really, really cool.
I mean, I
because
trust
the
him.
The injuries early kind of stunted what
Sure.
we're seeing, but we had seen the potential, and now it's just in full bloom.
I mean, he feels a lot like he's more talented than Brunson, but in the fourth quarter, the trust factor is crazy. He hit a bunch of big shots, the pass to set up the big play there late. He was awesome down the stretch. Now, from Patrick's team to your team, JVT, how surprised were you about last night? Because I just keep waiting for Denver to run completely out of gas, and Jokic did nothing points-wise last night. It was all Jamal Murray, but how surprised the way the Clippers looked in a big spot.
So the word I keep using since that game, and I think this is somebody who's watched a lot of Clippers basketball, this word describes them perfectly at times. They were apathetic, and they are apathetic at times, and it's very annoying. And I do think it is a symptom of having your best player be a robot, right? Kawhi Leonard is not a man who gets too high or too low. Now, that helps, and it helps in certain moments, like when you're down by 20 and in the fourth quarter you come storming back and give yourself a potential chance to win a game at home like they did over the weekend. It also doesn't really help when you are in a moment like you were last night where you need someone to light a fire under the rear ends of your teammates, right? I relayed this story to Gil earlier today when I talked to him. We're on Sirius XM, right? I can curse. Yeah. Ime Udoka had a great moment when he was with the Celtics on the floor when he called a timeout and reportedly just went into the huddle and told the Celtics during their run to the finals, will you guys stop playing like assholes? And then turned around and walked away. That was the entirety of that timeout. But it speaks to the ability to kind of get to guys. And I don't think anybody on that roster, whether it's leadership or otherwise, actually has the stones to really do it. And then you get those moments. James Harden was James Harden yesterday. He was a non-factor. He was awful. He didn't take shots. Now, here's the thing. He also had to defend Jokic. I don't know if you guys noticed that, and that actually kind of worked. He's actually a pretty good low-post defender, and it kind of worked a little bit. But he didn't have anything left on offense. And that was a very poor defensive showing for that team. And I think the apathy is there. Now, having said that, I will remind you guys of 2021, where it's the best Kawhi Leonard performance in the postseason. There haven't been many in a Clippers uniform. They were down 3-2 to the Dallas Mavericks on the road against Dallas. They went out there. He drops over 40 points in a magnificent effort. They win that game, force a Game 7 back in L.A., and they beat Dallas in 7. They have been here before. The Nuggets last year just blew a 3-2 lead. If you remember, they were up 3-2 against Minnesota, and they blew that thing as well. It's not impossible, but the apathy's got to stop. They have been awful in these first quarters. A -7 net rating in the first quarter of play in this series so far. Enough with the slow starts, enough with the apathy, and get your head out of your ass and start playing, and I think that's generally what they need. The question is, will they actually do it?
They were apathetic. We should mention JVT, Jonathan Von Tobel, joining us, is a Clippers fan. What's crazy is, and this is what's scary if you think they can win a championship, they were down 8 or 9 at the break, and it didn't feel like they could come back at all. Almost like they had punted the game. That was the energy, and you call it apathy, that I felt throughout watching that whole entire game.
Dude, I saw somebody, I tweeted it out, and I was like 60 seconds into the third quarter, not even. I was like, well, they blew this one. Got to win 2 straight now. And someone was like, it's only the third quarter. Just started. I'm like, no, I've watched this team. I know what's happening here. This is we're punting on this. We don't really care about this one kind of game, which is incredible. I even tweeted that out too, which is like they're playing like this is a back-to-back on a Wednesday in January. This is absolutely insane, the level of energy you're seeing this team not play with in what could be the game that decides what is happening. You have to win 2 straight, one of them being on the road in a Game 7 against the best player in the world. You're putting yourself in that position.
But, like, how long can this go on for Denver? How long can they have no bench? Obviously, Westbrook coming back helps them lengthen the roster. But at some point, the wear and tear on Jokic and Murray has to pay dividends, and the Clippers need to capitalize. I don't see how Denver, even if they do somehow win this series, JVT, the ceiling on Denver is much lower than I anticipated. Do you expect them to be able to figure this out for another series?
No, I would be willing to lay a game or have 1.5 games, 2.5 games with like the Oklahoma City Thunder in the next round should the Denver Nuggets move on. Like, I don't think, to your point, the perimeter defense that they're going to face is otherworldly when they're going on to the next round against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Jamal Murray is going to be able to, or excuse me, he's not going to be able to go after some of the weak links that you have there on the floor defensively, like the Clippers have out there that he can take advantage of. There is going to be a Lou Dort, a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a Jalen Williams that is going to be able to go after him, and that is going to be a problem for them. And I think that's going to be massive. Maybe Jokic has a big series because they lack like true big size, but in terms of the perimeter defense and what they're going to face there, I think it's going to be a long series for them, and I would think that they end it pretty quickly, the Thunder.
As a Lakers hater, you must have enjoyed the fourth quarter on Sunday. Has been an entertaining series. You got a drained Laker team because obviously playing 1 million minutes, and they are hosting Minnesota to stave off elimination tonight. The Lakers are laying 6. Jonathan, what do you have?
So this could fall into, as I look back at my TV, this could fall into the territory of this game that we're watching right now between Golden State and Houston, which is, I called this the play of principle for Golden State. You can't go from a 4-point spread at home to a 4-point under, you know what I mean, to another 4-point spread on the other home floor just because the other team's up against it and facing elimination 3-1. Right now, though, that is proving to be okay. Like, if you went that way, then you swallow the juice and you're working out and you're calling me an idiot. I feel the same way here. The Minnesota Timberwolves were 2.5-point favorites on their home floor just the other day. And now here they were as high as 6.5 at some point today. We're starting to see the buyback. I think that is the right way to do this thing. I just think it's a little too high, and the market factors in too much of these got-to-have-its, bounce-backs, whatever it is, and I think it's too much. Having said that, the way that I attacked this was I actually bet the first quarter over 51. There's still plenty of 51.5s out there shaded to the over. But my strategy here, and I haven't seen this yet, my assumption, much like I assumed that Steven Adams would start this game for Houston, is that J.J. Redick is going to go to their so-called Lasers lineup once again. That was the lineup that he closed the second half with and didn't give him a break. That is Dorian Finney-Smith in the place of Jackson Hayes, Austin Reeves, LeBron, Luka, and I think I've got everybody there. I'm missing some. Oh, and Rui Hachimura. That gave them problems. They went out immediately on a 14-0 run to start the second half, if you guys remember, and it was a really big reason why they were in that game and leading by 12 at one point in the second half. I would expect that is the adjustment you make if you're J.J. Redick, and if it is, that lends itself to more offense, I think, for both teams. It's not a great defensive group. You're just switching everything, but you're way better on offense with that 5-out approach. You kind of negate Rudy Gobert. Remember, he didn't even close out the game last time. They had to close with Naz Reid as opposed to Gobert, and I just think you get more scoring all the way around if we're going to get that. So I went over 51 with Lakers-Timberwolves first quarter.
If Minnesota's going to win as a 5.5-point dog outright on the road in LA where the Lakers season's on the line, what's the recipe for Minnesota, you think?
In terms of today?
Yeah, today.
I think it's probably a big Naz Reid game. I mean, Reid really tore them up in that. And I'll pull up the exact numbers because I think I haven't updated them since. But in this series at last look with Naz Reid on the floor and Rudy Gobert off the floor, the Timberwolves have, I believe, about a plus 15.5 net rating. Like, he has absolutely destroyed this team. He gives them defensive versatility. He also gives them another floor spacer out there. And the other guy who's killed them, too, is Julius Randle. Randle's been absolutely incredible in this series, and he's not getting enough credit. But I think that's going to be really what it is Naz Reid, and specifically the Naz Reid minutes and how those play out. I think that's going to be a very big factor to what's going to happen. And I'd be curious, for a prop thing, whether or not you go with this small ball lineup, how that affects Rudy Gobert's minutes here today, because that's going to be a pretty big deal. But by the way, real quick, Dustin, plus 15.5 net rating with Naz Reid on the floor, Rudy Gobert off the floor in this series. They average 127.6 points every 100 possessions, and they only give up about 112.1. So they've been very, very good with just Naz Reid on the floor.
Yeah, I'm on Rudy Gobert under points. I've been on it the last 2 games, and it's happened. He's just not involved offensively, even when he's on the floor. And I agree with you. If the Timberwolves are going to win this one, Naz Reid gives them energy. I don't know, understand why Naz Reid isn't playing 30 minutes every night. I get why you need someone off the bench to lead that charge, but Naz Reid is a complete difference maker for them and a tough matchup for the Lakers.
Yeah, I think too. It's also like we shouldn't, because we always have like the collective we. We always have this conversation about Rudy Gobert because it's not this is a Rudy Gobert's fault thing. Because we should also note that the Lakers really haven't had anything inside of 14 feet in this series, and a big reason why is because of Rudy Gobert. So I think you still need to have that balance to protect the rim. And then what are you going to do? Because I think Reed is most effective, as we just laid out with the numbers, by himself. And so if you're going to play him 30 minutes, those are 30 minutes, or a vast majority of which you're not playing Rudy Gobert. And I think that is ultimately maybe why you run into that problem.
Tomorrow night here in Los Angeles, Clippers hosting the Nuggets is 6.5, 7, which is what the number is. Is that the correct number with the Clippers laying it?
No, I mean, what have we seen from them that would tell you it is? You know what I mean? Like, I think they're the better team. I think that they are capable of covering that number. But outside of what we have seen from this group, what is telling you that they would come out here and give you the full-throated effort the entire time? I don't really buy it from them. And that's part of the problem. So I would very much lean toward the Clippers. I would also note this right now. I want to get this number for you here because I mentioned it earlier. In the first quarter, the Denver Nuggets, over the course of 5 games, per 100 possessions, have a plus 7.6 net rating. The Clippers have gotten off to awful starts in every single one of these games in this series. So even if you think the Clippers are the right side, if this series tells us anything, and it is a short sample size, they're probably getting off to another slow start. It's exactly what they do in every single game. So if you like them, Patrick, just sit back and wait, and more than likely you will get a better number on them once the game begins.
JVT, the Bucks season ended yesterday. The big question is Giannis's future. If you're Jonathan Vaughn, general manager, where does Giannis play next year?
Well, I don't know. Like, am I in charge of the Bucks?
No, well, the Bucks are going to have to deal him. Let's put that out there. Don't say he's back in Milwaukee. Where's the best destination? Who has the best offer? What makes the most sense?
I mean, if I'm really doing this thing, Oklahoma City has every asset in the world. Like, what are we doing? I saw a tweet. It was just like, Philly, or it was like Brooklyn and somebody else. Like, this is the only 2 that can get them. Is like, are the Thunder being like disbanded? Like this, this is what they were waiting for. They have every asset, everything that you would possibly want to go and get them, and that's what the Bucks need. They have nothing in terms of draft assets. Go and get them. If you're Oklahoma City this summer, screw it. Even if you win the finals, who cares? Call them immediately and say, whatever you want, let's go. We have all the assets in the world. We want Giannis Antetokounmpo, and go make it work. I don't know why the Thunder would not do it.
Get an all-time great in his prime for 6 more years.
Right.
Yeah. Seems pretty good. A guy that's in the best shape possible.
He's been incredible. He doesn't get enough credit for how well he's played. It's an incredible stat. I think he's averaging, I'm ballparking this, it's like 30. It's 30 plus, like 16 and 6 on like nearly 60% shooting in his last 10 playoff games, and they're 1-9. Like
Presti, that's the one player Presti would have to blow up the plan for. That's what I would agree. Before we say goodbye, you're with us. You're on the Blues tonight in Winnipeg.
Don't ask me to explain it. Stormy talked me into it. That's literally all it was. She had some great analysis, and I was like, hey, we're on. You know what? Like, show play. Let's do this thing. I will trust in everything that you've talked about here. She got very excited, was tearing down Connor Hellebuck, and I was like, those sound like some terrible numbers. I'm with you. Let's go. St. Louis Blues all the way. That guy sucks.
Family. And that family is Jonathan Von Tobel and Stormy Bonantoni. Every day, Monday through Friday, 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern Time. The show's called Money Moves. Check it out. It's wonderful. @MeJVT on Twitter. Congratulations. Nice to talk to you. Don't break your neck. Go watch the game.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Okay, there he goes. Jonathan Von Tobel. We're coming back here. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio with Noops Christensen. Some basketball plays.
Now back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, the NFL draft is in the books, and Fantasy Sports Radio has already set the values for this year's rookie class in the annual post-draft draft. Hear who the experts select when they're on the clock and find out where you should target the future stars of fantasy football in your upcoming drafts. It's the post-NFL Draft Fantasy Football Draft, and you can hear it wherever you want on the SiriusXM app by searching Fantasy Drafts. All right, we got you back here on VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. We're going to say hi to our buddy Noops. Just quickly, an update. Let me give you the hockey quickly, and that is we're tied up at 2s, first intermission, Panthers Lightning. Panthers can close out that series. The Caps are up 2-0 on the Habs. The Canadiens, 8:47, pardon me, to play in the second. Got a great game coming up in an hour. Blues, Jets. You get a good price on the Blues. The Jets, a lot of pressure going back to Winnipeg. That's yet to come. As far as the basketball, you've got the Warriors and Rockets. Right now, the Rockets up 61-40, 2:57 to play in the second. And, of course, you got the nightcap, T-Wolves, Lakers, with the T-Wolves leading 3-1. Dustin, I'm Patrick. We welcome you back. Of course, Alex Noops Christensen, FTN, NBA betting analyst at _Noops. He's our good buddy. And we're on the Warriors, too. So give us some hope, down 21 with 2:57 to play in the second. Give me hope.
Well, it can't possibly get any worse than this. I mean, I'd be really blown away if the Rockets could somehow score 60 points again in the second half of this game, but that's probably as optimistic as I can be. And what really concerns me is a lot of the broadcast has been talking about the zone defense the Rockets are playing and how much that seems to be messing up the Warriors. What concerns me about Golden State is the defense. It seems like the Rockets have a wide open corner three just about every time they want one. It's a big concern here. We'll see what Kerr can do. And then the other thing we have to take into account is how hard does Golden State push in this game? It's a veteran team. They really haven't had a longer break here. They know they can close out at home. At the same time, I know they understand the value of winning this game, but unless they can go into halftime with this, again, we're at 21-point difference right now with about 3 minutes left. If they get to halftime with this closer to 15, 16, maybe we see a push, but the problems for me are defensive. The Warriors have to make some sort of adjustment. They can't just keep giving up wide open corner threes.
Yeah, I just question Golden State, the motivation angle, where if it gets out of hand, let's live to fight another day. We go back home, take care of business, rebound the other side. So I guess you're saying I shouldn't click bet on the 10-1 on Golden State in game right now, because that's something I was debating. Ooh, we lost it.
Noops, we lost you. The audio went out on you.
Sorry. I wouldn't be playing any money lines on the Warriors. I think the better way to approach it is just find a way to sort of fade the Rockets here. Their second half team total in the last game, I think it was like 50.5. If we see the same number, I'll probably look just to do that. Again, just find a way basically to bet that the Rockets aren't going to score a bunch of points again. And there's a lot of ways for that to happen. Either Golden State's defense gets better, the Rockets have a huge lead and just sort of dribble it out here. Curious to see if we get a Rockets team totals in the second half at 50.5, 51.5. I'll be playing the under.
Yeah, it's a 20-point game, 2:26 to play. Kerr will feel good if it's you and me were on the same page. If it's 15 points, a bank 3 goes in for Houston. Holy shit. Pardon my language. 15, no matter the lead, Kerr's going to come out and press for 6 or 7 minutes. If it doesn't get better, he's going to sit everybody, as Noob said, and live to fight another day. So that'll be interesting. Golden State does answer with the 3, so 20-point game. Let's get it to 15. I think it could get interesting. Okay, let's talk about the late game, and then we'll kind of rewind to last night and what we learned, Noops. And, of course, your late game is the T-Wolves and Lakers tonight. It's 5.5, 6 with the Lakers, 210.5 on the total.
Yeah, I continue to like Minnesota. I've been on them pretty much every game in this series. I think this is a spot where we're paying a little bit of a tax here. Not we, but anyone who's back in the Lakers here is paying a little bit of a tax. I mean, the line here, again, we're looking at about 6.5, even some spots I've seen. That's a really, really big adjustment from what we saw in the last game where, Minnesota closed as 2.5 point favorites. It's just a bit too big of an adjustment for me. I think the Timberwolves have looked better in just about every game. The Lakers defense that had a good last month has really struggled to slow these guys down. Now, maybe again, similar to what we've seen from the Warriors here, a little bit of a down game for Minnesota, but I just don't believe that. I think Anthony Edwards is someone that is really excited for this game, is probably been spending the last couple days thinking about how fun it would be to beat the Lakers and close them out in Los Angeles in front of that crowd. Again, all sort of smaller qualitative stuff, but simply from a numbers perspective, this spread is at least 2 points too high. I think the motivation will be solid. We'll see if any other outside forces, if you will, affect the game, but I like the Timberwolves. I think they're a live dog on the money line, but I'm just going to take the spread.
Let's live in a world where Minnesota advances in this series. How legit and dangerous do you see them being in the West? Because Noops, it just feels like a team that hit their stride at the right time late in the season, getting healthy, and they have a lot of depth. Obviously, they play defense. They're proven they can shoot. How good?
Too many donks are sitting around watching White Lotus.
I think they're going to win probably the next series here. They're going to play the winner of the game we're watching right now, the Rockets and the Warriors. I think they're much better than either one of those teams. I don't know how clean of a series it's going to be. And I think of all the teams left, outside of what Denver has somehow been able to do, and we'll probably talk more about them in a little bit, but I still think Minnesota probably has the best chance of scaring this Thunder team. You basically have a guy in Ant who can actually match up with SGA on both sides of the floor, and just a team that has a little bit more of a feel to it, I think. But long term, it's Oklahoma City. If the Thunder are going to win the conference, I think Minnesota definitely is the favorite to meet them in the Western Conference Finals. But they'll be big underdogs, and rightfully so, in that matchup.
Alex Snoops Christensen, FTN Fantasy, joining us here, NBA Insider. So you mentioned last night. So let's go to it because I know you have a play on the Pistons, but I'll start here. I'll start with the Clippers and Nuggets. An apathetic performance by the Clip. A 131-115 win for the Nuggets. It's odd because it just felt like the Clippers were never in that game. Oops.
The last couple games have been really strange to me. Going back and watching them, playoff James Harden just sort of reared his ugly head here, but Kawhi Leonard just doesn't look as sharp, and maybe it's just putting all this concentrated effort in. Norm Powell isn't quite where he is. The defense, the Clippers, one of the best defensive teams all season, have really struggled here. Jamal Murray has looked excellent. Nikola Jokic continues to be the best player in the world. And this Clippers team, I think after losing a couple games, they probably should have won. Maybe that just sort of takes all the wind out of their sails. It's been very strange the last two games. So I think the Clippers win. I think they probably cover this big spread, but I'm certainly not going to bet on it given how strangely they performed over the last couple games.
Yeah, and it's just so weird with the Nuggets, Noops. I just keep waiting for the bottom to fall out. I don't know how they can keep running ragged the way they are, relying on basically, two guys for the most part to do about 85-90% of the work offensively. And the other guys occasionally will step up and pick up the slack, but they're so reliant on Jokic and Murray, especially late in games. At what point does the bottom fall out for Denver?
Probably in the next series where they'll face the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's where it becomes a real problem.
Oh, you think
the
they
Clippers
win?
I kind of do. I don't. I mean, again, they've got the lead in the series at this point. Like the Clippers look like they're a mess. I think they do probably advance here. The Clippers aren't a very deep team themselves. They are relying again on a bunch of guys probably to play too many minutes. But I do. I'm at the point where I've just sort of thrown my hands up in the air. I bet the Clippers to win the series. Pre-flop at a nice number on the open. Thought I really had the best of it. It just hasn't worked out. If you're the Clippers, I just don't know how you come back from these last couple games.
Noops, you're betting the Pistons. They forced a game 6 last night with a win at MSG. They're laying 2 tomorrow night in Detroit. Why are you playing the Pistons?
I think the Pistons at this point, especially at home, deserve to be closer to 4, almost 4.5 point favorites here. They've been the better team in just about every game here. New York has been great sort of at the end. We've seen the brilliance of Jalen Brunson. We've seen Karl-Anthony Towns hit some just absolutely incredible shots, but this Pistons team seems like they have a lot of confidence. I wonder if in a weird way it's been easier for them to win in New York because they're clearly big underdogs. At home, there's sort of the pressure of that, but they've come back basically from every sort of bad loss and played really well. Thought it was a spectacular game in New York, the way they were able to hold on and grind out. And I just continue to worry. Brunson does not look like he's 100% to me. And Karl Anthony Towns is really struggling. Unless he's going to be hitting a lot of big shots, I think it's tough for the Knicks. We're going back home for Game 7.
Okay, we do have odds on the next round with the Pacers and Cavs. Game 1 has Cleveland laying 7.5 noops. The total's 229.5. Look, I've started to buy more into Cleveland and how legit they are with the depth and the three-point shooting, and just decimating Miami when Garland doesn't even play the last 2 games is wild. But it also feels like there is a disrespect for this Indiana team that is really good offensively. Do you think 7.5 is too big, or do you think that's right?
I think that's just about right. I would actually probably have Cleveland closer to 8.5 if Garland's healthy, and I assume he will be given the break they have there. Indiana's a solid team, but I just think that over the last couple weeks, again, we keep hearing that Indiana's this underrated team, this underrated team. They almost lost to the Milwaukee Bucks. They should have lost that game. Again, I turned it off. I thought it was over. I actually didn't realize they had won till probably an hour after it finished. They're going to go up against a much better team than what they just faced in the last round. I think Cleveland is a really tough matchup for them. You know, Jared Allen works well against Miles Turner. Evan Mobley works very well against Pascal Siakam. Tyrese Halliburton's fantastic, but he can't cover both Garland and Donovan Mitchell. It's just going to be a really tough series for Indiana. I haven't broken it down quite a bit. I'll be writing a preview for FTN about that. Probably have that come out tomorrow afternoon. So we'll have some more official stuff then. But I like Cleveland game 1. I like Cleveland to win the series 4-1, maybe 4-2. I'll probably look at some of that stuff. I just think the Cavaliers are a much better team.
Steve Kerr has a decision to make. They didn't cut it to 15. Spoiler alert, the Rockets lead by 27 at the break. So the in-game number, Rockets laying 22.5. I think you could lay the 22.5 because I don't think it's going to get any better for the Warriors in the second half. I'll be fascinated to see how Kerr uses his bench and what he does. Curry looked tired coming off the first half there in Houston. So that'll be fascinating to see what happens. Noops, it looks like, first off, we're not going to cash our Warriors play. It'll be fascinating to see what Kerr does here in the second half.
It will be. I kind of agree with what you said before the break. Maybe they'll come out after the third quarter, try some stuff for 5-6 minutes. But this game seems like it's pretty much done. If you're Golden State, again, what are the chances you actually come back from an almost 30-point deficit? What kind of run do you really want to put into these guys that haven't had a chance to rest here? They've already played Jimmy Butler 19 minutes. They've already played Curry 17 minutes. That's just a really big load for those guys again. So I think they'll come out, sort of see if they can scare them in the first 5-6 minutes of the third quarter, especially after the last game. You know, they were really able to kind of sneak up in the third quarter there. But unless the Warriors somehow get this down to like 12 or 13 or somewhere again in kind of that mid to low teens, we're probably packing it in.
What would be your guess as to where Giannis plays next year? I think the conventional thought is he's played his last game in Milwaukee. They're likely moving on. The Dame Lillard injuries kind of forcing just them to start over, regroup, rebuild that whole thing. Is there a team that you think makes the most sense to acquire Giannis in the offseason?
I don't know if I've got one team I like yet. I still kind of think there's a chance he's a Milwaukee Buck at the beginning of next season. We still have to see how long the Lillard injury is going to be, and he's locked in. He just signed an extension. He's a Milwaukee Buck for the next couple of years. Again, even if he demands a trade, it's going to be tough for them to move him. I wonder if they just try to see how the season goes and dump him kind of at the trade deadline. So we've got some time. Again, as you look at it, I think a lot of people have done a good job covering this. I mean, the Houston Rockets have just a bevy of assets, and they seem to be kind of a perfect team to trade Milwaukee a bunch of guys, because the problem with the Bucks is, right, they don't want to tank. I don't think they control their pick to like 2030, 2031, something like that. So they've got to move Giannis for some parts, unless they just want to have a really bad team, which I know they don't in Milwaukee, again, given that fan base and how tough it can be to sell tickets if they're a bad team. So Houston has a chance to be one of those teams that does that. I think that's why Brooklyn maybe isn't going to be involved. I don't think there's that package of good players they can really sort of pass through. I continue to hear people talk about Oklahoma City. I'm not sure if they want to make a move that big, but that's a team that could certainly do it. So that's kind of where I am. I think Houston is the most logical point right now, but I think he's going to be a Buck for game 1 next season, and we'll see him move maybe at the deadline.
Well, we had a caller, before we say goodbye, we had a caller bring up the Knicks, and then I posed the question, Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, and Josh Hart. I don't think it's enough, but what does Milwaukee say?
I'm pretty sure both teams kind of say no to that scenario because if you're the Knicks now, you're kind of in a position where you've got a couple really good players, but you just have given up. I mean, the Knicks basically just tore it down to the studs to put together the team they have now. If you trade 2 or 3 starters for one starter, as good as that guy is, it puts a lot of pressure on everybody else. And the Knicks don't have really any way to sort of fill in the back pieces. Now, maybe they could take a couple players from the Bucks, but not even the Bucks really want those guys to be part of it. I think it's just too tough for the Knicks.
Sounds like a Sixers fan is jealous that they're not in the mix. That's what that sounds like.
Oh, I know better than that. If there's any team that's definitely not getting Giannis, it's the Philadelphia 76ers, folks.
What is the 76ers future? Just out of curiosity.
Oh God, I've been trying to avoid thinking about that for a while, Patrick. But I guess the only thing we know is everyone from last year is coming back. Everybody on the roster is under contract. They're all coming back. Curious to see what happens here with the draft lottery. It's unbelievable. Daryl Morey again. I continue to trust him and his ability to put teams together. I don't think anyone knew that Paul George was suddenly just going to turn into a pumpkin overnight. But we'll see. We're just trying to be optimistic, guys. How could it be any worse next season?
Oh, it can't. It certainly can't. So we're
Oh,
pulling
it could.
for
It
you,
definitely
Noobs.
could.
You're a good guy. Alex Noops Christensen, FTN NBA fantasy betting analyst. You can find Noops on Twitter @_Noops. Remember, tonight, T-Wolves team total over 102.5. Pistons tomorrow night. Love that, Noops. Laying 2. Alex, thank you. We'll talk to you next week.
Always a pleasure, gentlemen. Best of luck until we talk again.
Best of luck to you too, Noops. There goes Alex. So Panthers score first to open up the second period at the Lightning. They lead 3-2. Cap still up 2-zippy over the Canadians. They're in Washington. 3 minutes to play there. Again, as far as the NBA, we don't have a game in Houston. We're not going to have a game in Houston as they lead by 27 at the break. The only interesting thing now is what just happened? Somebody scored, Lightning?
3-0 Caps. Tom Wilson with a goal.
Tom Wilson, Willie, with a goal. The only thing interesting there is, my guess is there's no reason to exert any effort in the second half and then kind of spend those legs on Green, Curry, and Butler because you're going to have a game 6. So you might as well save them, go back home to Golden State, win that game, and then get on to the next round.
Yeah, look, Houston was bound to make adjustments here with the way things went last game. They were going to do something different. Unfortunately for Golden State, they just didn't show up today. You go back home, things will be better for you in your own arena. You have to imagine there'll be a lot of regression offensively for Houston because they're on pace for 152 points tonight. I can't imagine them going on the road and shooting that well, in the next game. So if I'm Golden State, I call off the dogs and I start over on Friday.
We'll continue with your calls. I know a lot of you have been holding for a while, so just hold on. We'll get to you next. Also, continue with that Giannis conversation as far as landing spot for one of the greats. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Maher and Dustin Swedelson.
Yeah, like I said, not a lot in it except the Panthers and Lightning in the early slate NHL NBA playoffs. Right now, the Panthers up 3-2 on the Lightning. In game, you can find, let's see, the Panthers laying a big price, 8.5 on the total in game for that one. Montreal and Washington, it's a runaway for the Caps. We're second intermission in. The Caps lead 3-0, so they're going to close out that series against the Canadiens. Now, we're eagerly anticipating the T-Wolves Lakers game because we don't care about the second half of the Warriors Rockets game. I'll give you an in-game number there. The spread with the Golden State Warriors at the Houston Rockets is the Rockets laying 22.5 points. Why? Because they went to the break up 27 over the Warriors, if you're keeping score at home. So the assumption is the Warriors aren't going to play anybody in the second half. Be kind of foolhardy to do so. So that's where we're at. Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Maher. Let's get back to your calls. We got Scott Spreitzer, professional handicapper, coming up top of the hour. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. And we'll start here with our buddy Tony in Detroit. What up, Tony Tone?
Gentlemen, how we doing this evening?
What's happening, Tone?
Hey, real quick before I get to Halliburton's dad, I don't know how anyone's betting the NBA. I love having you guys having that guy. I'm doing good in hockey tonight. I'm on these two games with the lead, and I like Winnipeg. I'm Fredo tonight against the family, so I'm on Winnipeg.
Oof.
I'm sorry,
Killing
gentlemen.
us.
I actually gave up a goal and a half on all three games tonight, so a little three-way pays very well. So we'll see what happens. Hey,
Nice.
and what about a 23-year-old point guard here in the Motor City getting paired with Giannis? That would be pretty nice for the next decade.
I think now here's the thing. I'm Michigan proud, Detroit proud like you are. I think Giannis is going to have to agree to his next destination, though he did live in Milwaukee. So, and he is a humble kid, so we can't say no.
He's also from Greece. You could convince him Detroit's what it used to be. You can convince him that.
Hey, let's give him 5-1, Duran, Ivy, anything they want. We'll give them everything. I'll just keep Cade.
We do have the assets. That is a good point.
We got a couple.
That's interesting. That is interesting. Cade's untouchable. You would agree Cade's untouchable.
Untouchable. He's 23 years old. He's trending towards a top 5-10 player in the league for the next few. Once he matures a little more, cuts down on the turnovers. We talked about it. That's Cade. But I think if you get another player next to Cade, another go-to guy, it takes a lot of pressure off him. He's got the ball in his hands so much that his turnovers are the thing. That's hindered him, especially in this series. But hey, when I'll get out of here after this, Halliburton's dad. I'll tell you what, man. With two boys who I spent a lot of time on baseball diamonds, football fields and basketball courts. And Dustin, you hit it earlier. Youth sports is a cesspool. I couldn't imagine embarrassing my son on the high school level. I would never step out onto a field and scream at someone like that. I couldn't imagine how my sons would feel had I done something like that, let alone how stupid I would look. And I've seen a lot of stupid parents in the last 15 years being involved in a lot of sports. But to do it on the NBA level to a guy like Giannis, I feel for Halliburton, the player, today. Similar to how I feel for the DC coordinator for the Falcons, I feel for Halliburton, the player, the dad. You just can't do those type of things. It's inexcusable.
Yeah, he said Rick Carlisle, the Pacer head coach, came out and said that Halliburton's dad was contrite after it all. I mean, what else are you going to do? You acted like a fool. And it's a good point by Tony. You're not just embarrassing yourself. Imagine what Tyrese feels like. It's like, I got that dad.
Well, Halliburton did speak to the media after the game, and he was pretty impressive, too, in what he had to say. This was him discussing everything that went down.
This series, a lot of war of words, a lot of war of antics, a lot of stuff going back and forth. And that's just part of, this rivalry and what we've built here over the last couple of years. And, it's unfortunate what happened there, but I think it's just competition. And as far as my pops, again, I don't agree what happened there. We'll have a conversation. Everybody's grown men, and, we'll just go from there.
Okay, let's get back to the calls. Connecticut, Robert's been holding for a long time. We say hi, Robert.
Good evening, gentlemen, and I appreciate you saying I've been holding for a long time. Long enough that when I jumped on the phone and called, it was because I got in the car turned you guys on, and you gave the first take on the whole situation with Ulbrich that I couldn't wait to hear, and I wanted to compliment you for it. But since then, obviously, you've covered a lot, and it's all
sorry, Robert.
No, but it all comes back to what I wanted to say in the first place. I'll call it real world. So give me 2 seconds on two topics, and then I'll get to Ulbrich. Number one, Belichick, real world. I think Jordan wants to get him fired, and if you've ever walked the North Carolina campus, you'd understand why. That's number one. Number two, Giannis and Halliburton, just like the caller before me, God bless him, he teed this up for me. I coached youth sports for many years, and in the real world, unfortunately, I've seen parental interaction on the field of play end up with police activity. And that leads me to Ulbrich, which is the reason I called. He is the luckiest thing on the face of the earth for him is he lives behind the shield. So let's take the shield away for a second, okay? Let's make the Atlanta Falcons either a hospital or a financial services firm, okay? If that happened, the regulators, the fine would be multiples beyond belief of what the Falcons got fined. And Ulbrich, as you guys so rightly said, first time I heard it on the radio, he'd be gone in a nanosecond. But the other thing is, the person who took the data that wasn't protected and utilized it would be facing felony charges.
Robert, great job. I appreciate your holding. You got three good points in. And again, thank you for your patience. Good job out of you. Tampa Bay has tied it up, people. We're 3-3 with 10 to play in the second. Goals galore. And if you're on the Lightning, let's go Bolts. Scott Spritzer's coming up next. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. live betting reaction to all of the night's action. You're tuned in to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
I'm going to do this read. Dustin, while I'm doing it, see what Kerr's doing with the lineup. We're underway in the third quarter with the Golden State Warriors. They were down 27 at the break. I'm just fascinated by that, how he handles his older legs. VSiN is on SiriusXM channel 158. Get 24/7 sports betting coverage on channel 158 and on the SiriusXM app. As an exclusive offer for SiriusXM listeners, you can get full VSiN Pro access through August 1st for just $19. You get a daily email with all the best bets from hosts and guests, exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circa Sportsbook, plus our Kentucky Derby betting guide, NFL betting guide when it drops. Go to vsin.com/subscribe. Use the promo code SIRIUS to unlock this great offer. We got a lot coming up. It's a good time to get into it. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio, Dustin Swedelson. I'm Patrick Meagher. We're going to welcome in our good buddy and professional handicapper, Scott Spreitzer. But first, do you see the rotation? How's he handling it?
Yeah, everyone's on the floor. I just saw Pajemski hit a couple big shots here, and one going up for three is a miss. So it's 85-58. What's that? 20? I can't do math. 27-point game.
29.
And 29 now. Rockets just scored the other way, but the starters are out there. Everyone's out there.
Surprised by that. You won't see him for much longer, I can assure you of that. I thought they'd give 6 or 7 minutes of a push and then sit everybody. We'll get Scott's take on this. Scott Spreitzer, professional handicapper, our buddy for a decade plus here on the program. Of course, Doc Sports, docsports.com, handicapper, at Scott Wins with 2 T's on Twitter. Got plenty to do. We should start here because it's an issue for Kerr. He's got old legs with Green, Curry, and Butler. He's down 29 points. You might want to save him, go back home for game 6, no?
I would think so. I mean, I was just looking at the box score, and he's only got Butler and Curry over 15 minutes, or 18 minutes, excuse me, thus far. But again, there hasn't been a whole bunch of minutes played yet. They're both in the low 20s as far as minutes played. But yeah, I would think that going to be the opposite of what you saw out of Redick. He's going to say, hey, starters, how about sitting down for the entire fourth quarter or close to it? And then they come back as a 2-bucket favorite in the next game, and they win and they cover and they move on to the next round.
Yeah. But if we go back to Golden State, you like the Warriors to move on and figure it out at home?
Yeah, I do. I think, for one thing, they've been, this game got out of hand quite quickly. But back home, you've got the officials who were swallowing the whistles, which has been great. I've really enjoyed this postseason probably as much as any in the last 10 years. And so Draymond gets to be Draymond. He gets to antagonize and annoy, and he can get away with a couple things that he wouldn't have done during the regular season. So it's a nice setup for him. You've got obviously Curry and Butler, and you've got that experience of knowing how to advance when you got a chance to shut a team down. And, this has been tough, man. You go back several years now, and these home teams, these home favorites, down 3-1 have done quite well. I think after tonight's Golden State Houston game, it'll be 20-7 outright, 18-9 against the spread. So that's been a good spot to jump on those home teams. I didn't play this game tonight, guys. I stayed away from it as far as a side or total, and thought I'm just going to wait. If Golden State gets beat, especially if they get punked like they are, I'll be coming back with them in the next game.
Scott, let's transition. We'll come back to the basketball for tomorrow night. Let's transition to hockey. We were talking about it during the break. Tampa Bay's tied it up at 3s. Tampa Bay played 2 really good games in Florida. Probably should be 2-2, but Florida does lead the series 3-1, and we're tied up at 3s with 6:53 to play in the second. The Caps are going to close out the Canadiens tonight in Washington, D.C., 3-0. Second intermission. Got a good one coming up later, Scott, with the Blues and Jets, but I want to back up to last night. The Golden Knights at home needed overtime, and they got it. The Wild have outplayed them. The Golden Knights are more talented. It's very obvious when I'm watching, but I've been shocked by how well the Wild have played.
They played better than I thought they would, but actually check out the metrics. Scoring chances, shots on goal, heavily in favor the percentages of the Vegas Golden Knights. The shots on goal per game are like 9 more per game. That doesn't always mean that they're playing better than the other team. They're throwing shots on goal, and sometimes they're not, really good scoring chances, but they've also led that metric too against Minnesota in this series. What they haven't done is get back on defense. Pietrangelo, I mean, listen, I love the guy, but it's, time to move on. Shea Theodore has not been good at getting back on the blue line for Vegas. And when there is an odd man rush for Minnesota, boy, it feels like 70-30 chance they're going to score on Aiden Hill, who's lost his confidence for the most part. Played pretty well last night, okay? And one of those goals by Minnesota was a deflection off of one of the Minnesota Wild's legs that went into the net. But I don't trust Aiden Hill. That's the problem. We've been saying this for a couple of months now. Vegas might have the best or one of the top 3 rosters they do in the league, but Aiden Hill's a backup goalie, guys. I hate to say that. I like the guy. He was a backup goalie when he had the incredible run to win the Stanley Cup 2 years ago. He was only in because their top goalie got hurt. He was a backup goalie before then, before he came to Vegas. Last year, his confidence was really low. He had a bunch of nagging injuries, didn't play well. And this year, he had his moments, but in key situations, there were too many times when he gave up a softie. And that really worries me. I think they'll get past Minnesota. I think the sheer talent edge of the Vegas roster is going to get them there. But man, I'm concerned if they have to play Edmonton. Oh, come on. You got that odd man rush coming at you when you got Draisaitl and you got Connor McDavid, 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2, and you've got a couple of defensemen who aren't really getting back, and then the stop is Aiden Hill. It's going to be tough, guys. It's going to be tough.
What do you make of that series with Edmonton? They go down 2-0, losing 2 at home, go to LA, win 2. Right now they're up 3-2. They won yesterday. I mean, did they just take all the momentum away from the Kings and they don't have a chance now?
This is a series I think the Kings should have won, but they couldn't get it done. And I think now I don't think they're going to beat them 2 times in a row. There's just too much firepower from Edmonton. And when you're shorthanded, when you go on the penalty kill against this team, you're just dead in the water. And it's just a series I felt going in. Didn't make a wager on it, but I thought this is a series that LA should win. They did not get it done, and now they're going to lose to Edmonton in all likelihood. But boy, when I look at Vegas, I just look at the fire. There's one team that Vegas has the better goalie than right now, and that would be, of all people, Connor Hellebuck and the Winnipeg Jets. As this guy just can't play in the playoffs. Best goalie in the world, except for when it gets to the postseason. But everybody else, I think, has a better goalie. It's kind of one of those things I was watching last night. I actually had Vegas in regulation, guys, and I lost. They won in overtime. So I got them in regulation last night, and Marc-Andre Fleury has to come in the game. Gustafson had to be removed from the game. Looks like he's going to play. He's fighting an illness. But I'm thinking, oh, man, I get to go against Marc-Andre Fleury, first ballot Hall of Famer, nothing but respect. Love the guy, the whole thing on and off the ice. But he's not what he used to be, and it's not even close. And what do? They put 3 shots on goal against him, and then they go to overtime. And of course, and even the announcers here in Vegas were talking, and I kept yelling at my TV. I'm talking to people on the phone, screaming at the TV. They're scared I'm screaming at them. And I'm yelling, throw the puck on the net, guys. Get some rebounds against Marc-Andre Fleury. And they finally kind of did that in OT, and that's when they won. But again, it looks like it's going to be back to Gustafson. He's got to give it a go. If it's Marc-Andre Fleury, and again, I mean, nothing but respect, but if it's Marc-Andre Fleury for a big chunk of this game, it's going to be I think a pretty easy Vegas win and over along with it.
So Florida just scored, Scott and Dustin. So 4-3. I don't know if it might have been shorthanded, because I was looking up and Tampa Bay was on the power play. So it's interesting if they did get a shorty there. It is 4-3. With the Panthers leading. Still plenty of time, over 4 minutes to go in the second period in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay looking to avoid the closeout there. You mentioned the Blues and Hellebuck with the Jets. So he's been chased twice in a row. The Blues are playing free, right? They're going to catch a big price tonight. And they've got, it's a young team that not much was expected. They go back to Winnipeg, tied up at 2s. Did you think about doing anything here?
Little tiny small play on Winnipeg, guys. Holding my nose with Hellebuck and expecting them to get the home victory tonight. If you look at his first 2 games, which were, of course, both at home in the series for Winnipeg, he had a slow start, and then he turned it on over the final 2 periods at home. And then his troubles came big time on the road. So he's back home. I just, I want him to get through the first period, hopefully with a lead, but hopefully no more down than 1-0. And if he can do that, I think Winnipeg will turn it up over the final 2 periods and go up 3-2. So it's a big price. It's around $1.70 as of about 2 hours ago, last time I checked. And but I did make a little wager, a small wager on Winnipeg tonight. I would be more upset if I didn't make a bet and they win than if I make a bet and they lose with the amount that I put on this one, as crazy as that sounds.
Hey Scott, the Capitals up 3-0 on the Canadians right now. I believe they would take on the Hurricanes in the next round. And I know everyone's down on Washington, surprise year, the historic season for Ovechkin, not what everyone overrated one seed, I guess is how I would say it.
Sure.
Do you give them a puncher's chance to make it interesting against Carolina?
If I had to jump on it right now without, obviously there's, the matchup hasn't been decided, so no lines or no series prices. I would say that it's Carolina in 6 if I had to jump on it right now and had to make a prediction. And listen, that means they have a puncher's chance. Steal one and, on the road and hold serve. And with a guy like Ovechkin, you've got a chance to win a series no matter what series you're in. But I'm one of those guys who thought they were a little bit overrated over the course of the regular season, talking about the Cap. So right now, if I had to make a call, I'd say probably go in 6 with Carolina getting the win.
Yeah, the Warriors, by the way, are playing the end of the bench, and there's about 4 minutes to go in the third. So you won't see the starters the rest of the way there for Golden State. Scott, maybe the most surprising, we'll get to the basketball tomorrow, but maybe the most surprising result of the Stanley Cup playoffs thus far was last night in Toronto, the Senators facing elimination, and they shut out the Maple Leafs. Obviously, Toronto at home 4-0, which makes it interesting with Toronto going back to Ottawa.
Right.
Obviously, tomorrow night, down 3-2 in the series, but that was a surprising outcome. I mean, obviously, we know of the travails for the Toronto Maple Leafs over the past however many years, but they've got to be tight going back to Ottawa.
They still got a 3-2 lead. I'm looking at my line right now. I was punching up my account here on my phone, and looks like Ottawa's about a $1.15 favorite. Guys, I've been suffering with the Leafs. There's no way I'm jumping on them. It's a great spot, I think, to jump on the Leafs, and I'm passing. I've had 2 teams in my life as a hockey fan before Vegas came along and got a team, and that was the New York Rangers #1, the Toronto Maple Leafs #2. I've felt nothing but pain for most of my lifetime rooting for those 2 teams. I do think they're in a really good spot tomorrow, but it's the Toronto Maple Leafs when you expect them to win a series, when all of a sudden it makes it not a great spot. So I'll be rooting for the Leafs. I will not be involved in the game, guys. I hate to make it like a pass here, but that's just the way it is. I cannot back that team. You come out last night and you're up 3-1 and you got a chance to end it there and you put up a goose egg on the scoreboard. I mean, that's just ridiculous. They didn't look good. I thought they looked sluggish at times, and they had the game taken to them.
Yeah, they don't have it. They're soft.
They're soft. They've been that way for years.
This is the story every year. I don't even follow hockey closely, but I know that Toronto, when they have to put their chips in the middle of the table, they don't have it. They don't have a way to finish the job. That's the issue there. How about baseball? I know you have a play tomorrow, but how has the baseball been going? Because I got to tell you, I'm about 50-50 every night. There's very few great days. There's very few bad days. It's all about 50-50. How's your baseball season going?
Yeah, we're doing okay in baseball. I actually started out rough, and I think we talked about that a few weeks ago. Started out rough in baseball, made a couple of adjustments, and we're really coming around. We've hit about, I don't have the money in front of me. I was just punching it up here to see where my bankroll is, but we're hitting 59% of our tickets in baseball over about the past 3 weeks. And again, I don't have the money in front of me. We're up a little bit over that time. But you know what I've been doing, guys, and you can't make a living off of this for too long. I've been playing some run lines, and I've been doing that quite a bit, and also some first 5 inning run lines to get back on track. And I made a couple of adjustments. What I've really done is gone back to something that worked for me a few years ago as we start to try to turn things around after the sluggish start. Last couple of 3 weeks, I like to look at last 10 games for bullpens. I don't care about the entire season. I want to know what a team's doing. OPS, weighted runs created plus, home or away, righty or lefty, going up against a righty or lefty. Last 10 games, I don't care about the season. And we've seen it turn things around a little bit here over the last, like I said, 3 weeks or so to be able to cash almost 60% of the tickets. One thing that got me in the hole, guys, to start the season was I came out with the plan. Let's play those Dodgers. Let's lay the run line. Let's play them out of the blocks, especially if they're off a loss or a 1-run win. And you'll recall early April, that wasn't a good plan. They beat me like 3 times in a row and I jumped off of that. So that's what kind of started things sluggish for me. But over the last 2 weeks, we've been able to turn it around.
Been going well. By the way, the Habs got a goal, so Washington leads 3-1, 16 minutes to play in Washington. Washington looking to close out the Canadiens, so we'll keep you updated there. All right, so basketball tomorrow night. Two good ones. You've got the Knicks at Detroit. Detroit's laying 2. You've got Denver at the Clip. Some are showing Clippers 7. Are you doing anything with either of these two tomorrow night?
Yeah, guys. I mean, thank God for the NBA because that's been, when baseball was sluggish, man, the NBA has been outstanding. I think we're 69% over the last 5 weeks. 70% right in there. So we're going to look to keep it going. And I wasn't crazy about either game tonight, but I do like the Knicks at Detroit on Thursday. Listen, that mismanagement by Tom Thibodeau was excruciating, but not unexpected. Although I liked it since I had the Pistons in that particular game. It's tough to trust this guy in big games and in key moments, but I'm going to have to on Thursday. Neither Brunson or Josh Hart were able to play much in the fourth, not just the debacle trying to check in late in the game and not calling the timeout, but because of the ankle situation with Brunson. I watched him earlier on Wednesday, and he was talking about he's going to be fine with that ankle. Obviously, he's going to say that even if he's 70%, but we'll take his word for it here. But, Hart had the wrist injury, and those two combined for, 3 points and 2 assists in the fourth quarter. They missed 11 of 27 free throws, yet they had a chance to win that game late, only lost by 3. So I think we'll see a better performance by the Knicks. They're not going to make just 59% of their free throws. I'll be shocked if they do. And get the ball up the darn floor. The Knicks finished second to Boston in transition points this season. I think they bounce back and wrap up this series in Detroit, guys. And we've been going back and forth on this series and doing pretty well. Had the Pistons the other night. I think the Knicks finish them off tomorrow.
I hope you're right, because if it goes 7, I don't like the Knicks in game 7. I'm terrible. Detroit has dominated in Madison Square Garden. I don't understand it. Yeah. For a team that young to be that effective on the road in that environment, just absolutely awesome. How about the other game? If you had a lean, if you're going to lean anywhere on Nuggets and Clippers, it's a big spread, 6.5, totals 211 and a hook.
Yeah, as far as this game is concerned, I haven't made a move yet. I did jump on the Knicks already. I haven't made a move yet on the Nuggets and Clippers. And you know what? I got to ask you something. I'm going to call you Mr. Prop, Dustin, because every time you open the newsletter, you're heavily involved in the prop. So I got to ask you a question. This number has shot up a bit from where it opened, talking about Aaron Gordon at 19.5 points and assists combined. Still seems a little bit short to me. You got any thoughts on this? Because I might jump on it if Mr. Prop likes this one here.
What I would say is they need the others to step up. And by the others, I mean everyone not Jokic and Murray. And if they're going to keep this thing going, they're going to close out the Clippers. It's going to be because one of the others steps up and does some of the dirty work. So because of that, I think that play makes a lot of sense. Because betting on Jokic just feels impossible. The number's always huge. Now, he does get there most of the time. He didn't get there yesterday. He did have a triple-double, not as many points as usual. If you want to convince yourself of any of the others, and Gordon's a good guy because he's not afraid to get the boards and do all that dirty work, I think the play makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what like the other night with Jokic, the last game. I mean, Zubac keeps him busy on what when the Clippers have the basketball, and we saw him go nutso on the offensive end the other night. But even if you take out Jamal Murray's numbers away from that game, the Nuggets still made over 50% of their field goal attempts. They made nearly, I think there were 1 made 3 shy of hitting 50% from behind the arc. The Clippers were 3rd in defensive efficiency this season. I think they're going to bounce back here, guys, and get the win, but I'm not laying that big spread there. I'm not going to do it with the way I thought the Clippers struggled a little bit defensively in that last game. And James, boy, playoff James seems to be back. James Harden, if you saw that game the other night, I mean, maybe he bounces back. And by the way, Kawhi, everybody keeps talking about he's not as good as Michael Jordan, but when he's healthy, I mean, he's dominant. What happened to Kawhi? He's been okay, right? The last game or two. So I think the Clippers get the win. I think Denver is going to hang that number, though, guys. I think it's a close game.
If you're betting on the Clippers and you need it's like vibes from Kawhi and Harden, you're not feeling good. They look like they'd rather be anywhere else. I mean, it's so weird how they play themselves out. Kentucky Derby's coming up on Saturday. I know you get involved. A couple of these, not generally a horse bettor, but I know you and your crew always get involved with the Derby. Journalism's going to go off as the favorite. I don't know how short. I think he's sitting 3-1 somewhere like that on the board. He's a monster. Are you going to try to beat him?
I'm going to tie him in with a few plays. You know me, guys. I'm a matchup guy. If I could get these bookmakers to put matchups in every horse race, I'd be a degenerate. I'd be out there betting the horse races 7 days a week. So I'm waiting for matchups. But I'll tell you, and I'll get to journalism in a second. If Baeza is able to get into this race, which we'll know by Friday morning, that is a horse that I'm going to have a few bucks on. Impressive at Santa Anita. Go back and watch the Santa Anita Derby. If you get a chance, had this slow start out of the gate, ran wide early in the race. He won't do that on Saturday at Churchill Downs. Baeza really made journalism work for that win. I really like his trainer, John Sheriffs. I mean, he won the 2005 Derby. You'll recall Giacomo got the win back then. And if he doesn't go in the Derby, I really do like him for the Preakness when he gets into the Preakness. Here's what I have talked about doing thus far. When it comes to playing anything that's not a matchup in the Derby or in any horse race, I like to find
too many donks are sitting around watching White Lotus.
Middle of the pack as far as their odds are concerned, or favorites, and then toss in a horse with decent odds to kind of increase that payoff. As long as, of course, I think that horse can be in the money. So I do like Sovereignty. I do like journalism. I know where Sovereignty's starting, the 18th post. Only the 17th is worse, basically. And I do like Luxor Cafe to be part of that mix with those other two horses. Kentucky bred horse in Japan, sired by American Pharoah, and he beat Admire Daytona twice in Japan. We saw what Admire Daytona did at the UAE, and we did see a horse show last year from Japan. Remember Forever Young. So Sovereignty, journalism, Luxor Cafe, those three horses I'm going to tie in a little bit together when it comes to a trifecta. Everything else I have is going to be a matchup. I might throw money if we get Baeza, if I can speak right, if we can get him in the race, which we'll find out Friday morning. He's going to need a little help because he needs a scratch to be able to get in the Derby. But I will be playing that horse definitely to win and in a couple of other exotics if he gets in the race. So that's what I'm looking to do, basically. I mean, if we had 2 hours, I'd run down every horse for you. But we don't have 2 hours and we don't want to lose your crowd, right?
But that's like your old school betting. Like that's your original stuff, right? Going back to Nebraska, right? Was betting on the ponies, correct?
That's how my family got into sports betting. I think I've said it on here before, but for those who weren't watching when I was on back then, my uncle, which is Robert Mundorf, Bobby Mundorf, he's an uncle through marriage. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'1", I'm 230. So don't feel bad for the horses. He was through marriage. He was a little guy, but he was a world-class jockey, elite level. He was a jockey of the year in San Diego. I mean, at Del Mar. So that was back in the 60s. So I did learn a little bit from him when it came to, Thanksgiving Day dinners and things of that nature. And he's passed away now, but that's how my family got into it. So that side of the family, they were starters. Aqueduct, you name it. They traveled the country as track starters. And so we got basically brought into this whole thing of sports betting through horse racing. And I spent a lot of my teen years when I should have been at school at Exarban Racetrack. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world when my dad would take his 15 or 14-year-old son to the track instead of making him go to school. We had a blast back then. But yeah, you're right, Dustin. That's how we got started. So I do have still a lot of feelings for horse racing. And again, if I could get matchups on every race, I don't even know if I'd have time to do any shows. I'd be betting matchups like crazy.
And you've been to Del Mar, right? Have you had
Absolutely, a few times, yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's so much fun to get to the track.
I used to like Holly Park, guys. Holly Park was a blast in LA, where the stadium is now SoFi. We'd go to Holly Park in the daytime, watch several races, head on over to the Forum, not too far away, and go watch a Lakers game. I mean, I love it. I even loved Exarban. Exarban was a fun racetrack, and there was a jockey by the name of Johnny Lively who we bet a lot of money on back in the day. But yeah, I miss those days, and I'll be at Del Mar when the events happen this year again later this summer.
Yeah, Hollywood Park, you mentioned it, right? Not too long ago, actually got tore down, probably like somewhere in the 2012-13 range. And then that property now hosts SoFi and the Intuit Dome, where the Clippers were. So, and it used to be where the Forum was back in the day with the Lakers, right around there, Inglewood, I believe. So, There it is. Scott Spreitzer. Great job. Doc Sports, docsports.com handicapper. You can see the videos and the picks there. At Scott Wins with 2 T's on Twitter. Great stuff, Scott. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys. Good luck, man.
Okay, thank you. Good luck to you as well. Just updating you here. So the Caps still lead 3-1 with 10:38 to play. So hold on maybe to your puck line there, big guy.
I know.
The Panthers and Lightning second intermission there with the Panthers up 4-3 over the Bolts. So high scoring affair. The Lightning need to win to stave off elimination. We take a look at the basketball game. Unbelievable. It really is funny. 107-80. So they went to the break up 27, and end of 3, Houston leads by 27. So that's where we sit right now. We still have a little more than a half hour to go until now. The Lakers and the T-Wolves, I think they're going to tip off on time because I think this game's going to be over. And so 7 o'clock should be good, 10 o'clock East.
Well, and an executive decision could possibly be made in a playoff game where even if it's not over, we just go away from the action and start the next game because I don't think anyone's hanging on to Golden State and Houston at this point.
Yeah, you're not going to see the starters. That's again in the fourth quarter for Golden State. No reason to throw them out there, I wouldn't think. So we'll keep monitoring there. One of the things that was brought up, and I think you started riding the Clippers train. All of the sharp bettors we've been bringing on this program have been jockeying the Clippers. The Clippers last night, and I watched it because I was in-game betting it. They looked like they looked essentially like the Orlando Magic. They were horrible.
They looked like a team that's used to not trying hard in consecutive games. But it was the first time they've lost 2 games in a row since like March 2nd. The Clippers
It's a bad time to do it.
No, the Clippers. That's what the Clippers do. The second you think that there's potential there, they just fall backwards. And you're right. I started to drink the Kool-Aid mainly because Kawhi looked unstoppable offensively. He was hitting every mid-range shot. Offensively, they looked super efficient, and Denver looked tired. It doesn't matter. Jokic is like sluggishly going out there and just dominating these games. Murray Jamal Murray frustrates me. Jamal Murray should be a star, and he does disappear for long periods where like he has good games, but they should be able to rely on him more to carry them when Jokic isn't having a great night.
I do know this. Maybe they come back and beat the Denver Nuggets. There is no chance that team can win a championship.
The Clippers, no.
No chance. If they're going to keep dicking around and playing lackadaisical, you just brought up the stat. They hadn't lost it 2 games in a row since when, and they just gave their most lackadaisical performance. Some of this has got to go on Ty Lue as well. Although it's weird. With Ty Lue, he's like my age, so Harden and Kawhi are older too. So some of this is like if you blame it on Kawhi, but I don't know how you motivate a Kawhi and a James Harden. They're just not interested in listening to anything.
I don't understand how you hold Jokic to 13 points and lose the game. To me, that's the recipe.
Won't get blown out.
Yeah, you get smashed. Didn't have a chance. It was over early. It was March 4th. First back-to-back losses since March 4th. I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. That team is super annoying. And yeah, you can't bet on them in a big spot. They're laying a huge number, and it's James Harden. James Harden's facilitating the entire offense. That is probably the last guy in the league that you believe in a clutch spot. He has no killer instinct.
Yeah, Harden looked like he was out at the club the night before. About to drop the puck in Winnipeg with the Blues and Jets tied up at 2s. Winnipeg, a big favorite there. Total 5.5 if you want to get involved. When we come back, what do you want to do? You got obviously 3 days. You've got the Diamond Dish. We've got a lot. It's your pick. Potpourri.
Well, first off, I have put together a little smash or pass for you, but I think more importantly, before the game, JJ Redick met with the media, and apparently some drama unfolded.
And when we come back, we'll tell you. And an interesting starter for the Lakers tonight. We'll tell you who it is and what Redick did. Coming back, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Welcome back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio, we got you back. I'm probably the only one betting CONCACAF soccer, but Vancouver leads Inter Miami and Messi 3-1 right now. Got to chuckle out of the big guy with that one. We'll have the Reddick sound for you here. Reddick seems a little pissed off right now, but first tonight, well, I don't want to do that one because that one's done. The NBA playoffs are here, and you can catch Game 5 between the T-Wolves and the Lakers tonight, 10 Eastern, on SiriusXM NBA Radio Channel 86. The T-Wolves lead the series 3-1. The Lakers look to avoid elimination on their home floor. Don't miss a moment of the postseason action on Channel 86. And remember, you can find it all home and away. The calls at SiriusXM.com/sports. All right, so that's apropos. A read would be done for that game because that game coming up tonight. Are we touching 7 in that one? I believe we are. 6.5, 7. Right now, the number actually it's dipped down to 6. 6.5. So the Lakers laying 6.5. Maxi Kleba is going to play. Your boy, that dude that like loses weight then gains it. He said that he was in the starting lineup. Isn't that? I love the donks on. No, not you, big guy. But there's these people that they take their weight loss journeys onto Twitter, and then all you have to do is mark them like 4 years later, and it was the original person.
Well, yeah, because if you need, as someone who has done this, right? I'm not speaking like someone that hasn't done this before. As someone who has made it public before, if you need the positive reinforcement of strangers on the internet for your weight loss journey, you're going to be right back in this situation later because there's stuff deeper down going on that you have to work out before you can keep the weight off.
Yeah, it's well put. I won't say the kid's name, but he did say that Maxi Kleba could be in the starting lineup, and you're telling me he's not in the starting lineup.
Yeah, he's not in the starting lineup, but he's going to play tonight, which is interesting because it's another shooter for the Lakers. But like, are we going to act like Maxi Kleba is a player that is a difference maker? Here's what I'd say: if you're a Laker fan and Maxi Kleba being in the lineup tonight gives you hope that they're going to win this series, I would say you need to recheck your priorities because your team stinks then.
Yeah, I would think so. However, speaking of lineups, JJ Redick took a lot of crap for the way he handled the end of Game 4, or actually the second half, right? Where he played his 5 starters the whole entire second half. He's been taking a lot, and I think we're about to play the interaction. But it sounds like the noise has gotten to him. Do you want to set it up any differently?
Yeah, well, it's a pregame press conference, which I think should be fairly straightforward. And he was asked a question, and quite frankly, he didn't like it. Here is him reacting and discussing, going back and forth with the reporter about said question.
As you watch the film, what do you recall about your thought process in the moment? Sticking with the 5 you stuck with in the fourth quarter the other day, and is there an assistant or someone maybe that you'll lean on tonight, maybe to try to get some other guys involved if that opportunity presents itself?
Are you saying that because I'm inexperienced and that was an inexperienced decision that I made? Do you think I don't talk to my assistants about substitutions every single timeout?
No, I just think there's a lot of coaches lean on their assistants in those situations.
As do I,
There's a lot going
every
on.
single time. That's a weird assumption.
Thank you, Coach.
And he bounced.
Well, wait, what is your take?
Oh, he got very sensitive about it.
Oh no, dude, that was the dumbest question I've ever.
No,
heard.
I'm not saying it's not a dumb
He
question.
had every right to get sensitive.
But it's obvious. It sounds like a kid asking the question. But my point is, he got super sensitive right before a game. I would just dismiss it, just move on.
I think it's one of the dumbest questions I've ever heard. So I didn't think he was that defensive. He just said, "What do you think? You don't think I talk to my assistants?"
Oh no, his face looked angry, and he dropped the mic down and just got up and walked away. I don't believe that press conference was set to be over after. I don't know if they said last question, but the look on his face was he was not thrilled.
Well, if I'm JJ Redick and I'm about to stave off elimination, and I just got asked that bumbling and stumbling question for like 3 minutes, I'd be out of there too.
I get it. It felt like a shot.
Question of all time. Are you going to use an assistant to help you with your rotations?
It struck a nerve. That's all I'm saying. And they're about to go play this game. That's all. I'm just saying it could affect things.
But that is also for young broadcasters. Simply say, do you plan on using an assistant to help you with your rotations moving forward? Instead, he said, hey, one day I was coming up and got an opportunity to ask JJ Redick a question. This morning, I was thinking of burrito, went with eggs. In Minnesota, fourth quarter, I'm thinking, like, what? What are you doing?
There was a better way to approach
How is it
that.
possible to use that many words?
There was a better way to do it. I just thought he got a little feisty in a weird spot there.
You don't have to get defensive with me. We have a different take.
Yeah.
There's no like. Why wouldn't you get feisty? You got to sit in front of those idiotic questions.
I guess
coach a game.
I guess in today's journalism world, is that considered good journalism to get the person angry that you're asking a question to? I think it is.
A kid, you could tell he did not. He was just like, he laughed because he was just like uncomfortable. That's what I mean. That's at least what I heard. I don't know. I don't think it was. Redick he has enough couth. I don't think he would have treated a kid like that. You don't think it was really a kid?
No. I mean like a 20-something-year-old who probably writes for, no offense, some website.
Yeah. He needs his editor or somebody needs to sit him down and say, we need to start with the actual question because it sucked. And then we have to go to the execution.
Here's what I would say also. What's the point of the question? You can't write an article about a game that happened 2 games ago when a new game's about to tip off. There's no point in asking that question there. You ask that question when you can write an article about it, but like just from like a just straight up consuming content perspective, asking that question does not help anyone in that spot.
Just a retort, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Dude, if you're gonna get mad at me, I can't do.
I'm not gonna get mad at you. I'm literally spitballing my take on this.
How does that take make any sense? If you ask him before the game is played tonight, then you can use his answer about rotations. That's what I'm saying.
But it's all dependent on the game tonight, I guess. Which you could have asked the question after the game as well. Did you think about asking an assistant? I don't think it changes before the game or after the game.
Yeah, I don't know. It just maybe the question. First off, Redick handled it perfectly. He said your assumption, because I'm a new coach, that I need help from an assistant. And then also the assumption that I wouldn't talk to my assistants every time out. You can literally just look at what I'm doing during timeouts before I go back to the bench. I gotta meet this kid.
Look, it's all fair. My general point was the game's about to start in what? 20 minutes? It's a weird thing for the coach to get annoyed about something like that. Now go in the locker room. And does it get in his head? Does it mess with him a little bit?
Well, maybe that's his competitive edge. He's
Fair.
like, F this. Let's go. Because, they show him giving fiery speeches all the time. Maybe he's like, now I'm ready to go coach. Listen.
No, you know what? F it. If I'm JJ, I play my starters the whole game. They don't come out. All 5, the whole game, just to show that kid.
Did he play him the whole fourth? Did he play the starters the whole second half or just the whole fourth quarter?
Whole second half. LeBron played 46 minutes that game.
He asked him if he's going to ask an assistant. That was wild.
It's a wild question.
Like Redick's brain is like, you think I'm going to go to somebody and be like, do you think I should continue with this? It's like, it's so insulting.
Oh, no. Did the Canadians score? I'm trying to watch. Oh, they're showing highlights. Okay. I don't think they scored.
No, I think the game's over.
Okay, good.
All right. All right. Have we dropped the puck? We have not dropped the puck in Winnipeg. We are into the third. The Panthers Lightning right now. The Panthers looking to close out the Lightning. It's 4-3.
Rockets Warriors is a 14-point game with 6 minutes to go. Is it possible to make a run here?
Well, Steph hasn't played any minutes in the fourth, just to be clear.
Yeah.
So you can. I just checked his minutes.
Because with the Warriors, it's now 15 points with 6:08 to go. That's not totally insurmountable.
They've been playing Pat Spencer, Kevin Knox, Jackson Davis.
Pat Spencer looks like he did my taxes a couple weeks ago.
Moses Moody, Kevin Knox, yeah, Braxton Key. So I don't know.
Don't know.
I literally now. If he sat the starters, they're still down 15 with 6 to play. I don't think you're going to see anybody.
No. Also, shout out to Jonathan Kuminga, the only player on the Warriors roster who has not played tonight.
Kerr put him in bubble wrap. I think you're going to get buck 36. My assumption is the Canadians have an empty net.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Buck 36. So let's see if the Caps either can get an empty netter here, or we don't want to lose the puck line there. Panthers Lightning 4-3 still. All right. When we come back, smash your pass. We'll close tabs. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
With Patrick Meagher and Dustin Sweat your bets with VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, Mad Dog Sports Radio listeners, if you're new to VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, you can sign up for our free daily newsletter. It's a great way to catch up. It's delivered straight to your inbox every morning. It's completely free. VSiN's newsletter offers picks, data, strategies for the day's betting menu. Sign up for free right now, vsin.com/newsletter. All you do is enter your email address. It's simple. And start receiving your free newsletter tomorrow morning. That's vsin.com/newsletter. Stay ahead of the game and bet smarter with VSiN. Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Meagher. We do have a final with the Caps. They got an empty netter, so they finish up the series against the Canadiens. They win the game 4-1. They win the series 4-1. The Panthers and Lightning. So right now, you've got the Panthers looking to close out the Lightning. They do have a 1-goal lead in Tampa. Panthers lead 4-3, 13:24 to play in the third, so that's getting tight for the Lightning if they want to stay alive in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And it's a 13-point game, 4 minutes to go. Kerr's not going to play anybody here the rest of the way. Nope, I just looked at Curry's numbers. Not going to happen, so he hasn't played any minutes.
We do have a kerfuffle on the floor. Dylan Brooks being obnoxious, swinging his arms around after a rebound, thinks he got fouled. Pat Spencer was involved in going for the ball, was walking away like he maybe pushed Brooks. Him and Şengün get into it. Trace Jackson Davis walks over, pushes Şengün. So there's some technicals, I believe, being assessed right now. 4:14 to go, 13-point game. But if somehow Golden State gets a chance to shoot a couple more free throws in this situation than Houston, depending on what the ruling is, I don't know, 4 minutes to go, it could be interesting because you're catching, what, 4.5?
Well, you say Dylan Brooks being annoying is evergreen.
Dude, he sucks. He's a douche.
He's something else. He is something else. All right. What do you got on tonight's game? It's gone down to 6. I'm actually seeing a couple of 5.5s with the Lakers laying it. I'll just tell you straight up. I was listening to JVT, and I thought he did a good job explaining. He's expecting offense. He went over 51.5 in the first quarter. I'll go, Dustin, over, I believe it's 210.5 full game, unless it's come up. But I like the over tonight with the T-Wolves at the Lakers.
Oh, I like that. I like that. I've been riding Rudy Gobert under 7.5 points. I just think he has so much to do defensively, and he's so bad offensively. It doesn't fit the game flow. So under 7.5 points on him. Also, Julius Randle over 32.5 points, rebounds, and assists combined. It feels like if they're going to win and capitalize here, and it's gone right for them mostly, Randle's got to do a little bit of everything, and he's a good facilitator from that 4 spot on the floor. So I went with that. And then I saw this stat making the rounds. LeBron and Luka, they are first and second, respectively, for highest point per game in elimination games. LeBron 33.5, Luka 33.4 per game. So I went Luka over 31.5 points. And then I think LeBron, with a lot on the line for him, because you just never know how many more opportunities he's going to have to win a title, I bet him plus 650 to have a triple-double, because I think he gets everyone involved. I think he gets 10 rebounds because they need him to, and he's definitely going to score 10 points. So I went triple-double plus 650 on LeBron.
Let's go. Winnipeg scored like a minute in.
Oh, you got to be kidding me, dude.
It's hilarious. I was just about to bet. The number had dropped on the total down from 5.5 to 5. So I was literally pushing send on over 5. It got locked up because Winnipeg scored. So now I'm sure it's up to 6.
How does this happen in a playoff game? It happened the other night with the Stars, right, against the Avalanche. They scored 9 seconds in.
9 seconds in. Yeah.
Come on.
For that goal. The Stars scored 9 seconds in at it. Well, that was home because tomorrow night's going to be in Colorado for game 6. But yeah, they scored early in Winnipeg. Hold on, let's see. They scored, minute 23 in. All right. Not exactly 9 seconds, but minute 23 ain't no joke. Before we get out of here, let's close some tabs. Or are we going to stop?
Let's start with a caller mentioned Pat Riley down in Miami, and I believe the quote was, what's he like, 71, 72 years old? No. Pat Riley is 80. 80 years old for Pat Riley.
Yeah, when he said that, didn't you think the same thing? Like, Riley's so much older than 72, 73.
Yeah.
Maybe you think he looks good for his age, but no, he's old.
Hey, I'm just jealous at 80 years old. He's still got that hairline. I'm 40 and I'm half his age and my hairline's twice as far back.
I have not seen Pat Riley in years, so I wouldn't even know. Does he still?
Like when I think how dudes dress in the 90s that think like in a suit, like they look good, I think of Pat Riley with the slick back hair. Like that's the look I think of when I think of the 90s.
Yeah, Riles was doing his thing with the threads. Although Big Daddy Rich, Chuck Daly, could dress too. I'd just like to say that. All right. What else?
You mentioned earlier in the show the big three. Jordan Hudson, Bill Belichick, and North Carolina football. Our guy Andy Staples went and read the New York Post article about Jordan Hudson, and it's titled Jordan Hudson 23 amassed $8 million real estate portfolio within months of meeting Bill Belichick. And he pulled this little tidbit out about her from this New York Post article, and it says, quote, her mother eventually moved to Providence, a sex toy shop and museum. Just
wait,
that was an
what?
interesting
Her
note.
mom?
Her mom, and our parents are allowed to have whatever career they want. If it's lucrative, good for
I'm
you.
not judging.
On Cape Cod, manages a sex toy shop and museum. I imagine the museum is a sex toy museum, not like natural history in America, I would imagine.
No, I think you're right. Hey, by the way, did it get confirmed that when Belichick was being a creep and walking out of a broken down house without his shirt on in that video, was it her?
I think people are assuming it was her, but I don't think we know for sure. And then also, how does that video get out other than her sending it out then?
Her ring video? Of course, you're right.
Although, you know what? Everyone questioned, like, it feels like he's in like a young, rundown, college-aged house or something. My thought was
at the time she's 22.
My thought was that was a jump off. Like that was a rando who's wanted credit for hooking up with Billy B.
I mean, you're post 70. We can't talk about young jump offs. It just feels weird.
I don't think there's much jumping involved.
Put anything past them.
No. Let's see. I have to bring this up. On this day, April 30th, in 1961, Isaiah Thomas was born.
1961? Isaiah's a little bit younger than I thought he was.
Yeah, I got to look it up. I can't do that math on the fly. I'm just not that smart.
61, so he's
64.
Shout to Zeke.
Who knows if you're sitting here today if he's not born?
That's a good point, man. He was my guy. Dustin, thank you. Ryan Smith, thank you. Brandon, thank you. Great job all the way around. We'll see you tomorrow. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Good luck tonight.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio.